Blog Talk Radio.
All right, everybody. Joseph Gibson podcasting here, restoring our republic, understanding the times in which we live today, fighting and standing up and resisting against the new world order. All right, Mike, you there, buddy?
Hey, I'm here, brother. How you doing, man?
All right, I'm doing good.
Yeah, I've got
Josh.
Got Josh out of Wisconsin on the phone, and Barb is on the line with him as well.
Barb,
also Wisconsin.
All right. That's great. That's great. Yeah, we got a few other people now that just clicked in too, so that's good, man. Well, we were talking on, personally on the phone. And that's just good that we're talking about this new world order, and that's what you always say. That's the bottom line. This is what it's all about. Them controlling us, But how do we fund it? I mean, everything costs money. To drive to Texas to go see this guy, or me to drive down there to stand with you, or stand up and fight, or me to go out to Wisconsin. That stuff costs money, man. How do we pay for this stuff? How do you pay for a grassroots organization or even a righteous army to connect with each other, funding the computers and everything? I mean, how do you fund that?
Well, that's a loaded question, and I can give a short, simple answer or a loaded answer.
You give me the loaded answer if you want, man.
Let me start it with the short, simple answer. As we all know, the corrupt, godless powers that be in this world, who are endeavoring to have total control over the entire world, own not just the banks. They have established the systems of this world, all the systems. They force us to drive cars that run on fossil fuel gasoline when we could be running on free energy, when we could be running on magnetism, when we could be running on hydrogen from water. There's all kinds of alternatives that are free, let alone the banks, where they have their bogus, fraudulent credit systems. And we could get into the whole talk here, which, people can, believe it's a psyop or believe it's legit. We got somebody on the phone with us right now who's simply going full steam ahead to pursue it, to see if it's legit himself, with regards to this thing about there being trust funds that are in everybody's name based on their birth certificate that the Vatican holds and the Crown holds, and that there's, $100 million in everybody's name that they have access to if they, repudiate their allegiance and subjugation and citizenship to this corporate monstrosity that calls itself government, when it's not a government, it's a corporation. So again, some will say that that's all psyop, and there's a good reason to believe it is a psyop, but there's some really, smart, articulate people out there that are able to present a strong case to give people reason to believe that, wow, hey, makes sense. I was born, it's a charitable trust foundation. They put money in my name. It was supposed to be for my benefit. I was supposed to be able to claim it as my minor estate, but they took it for themselves, fraudulently pontificating millions of birth certificates as bonds and making trillions of dollars for themselves, and not letting the people even know that there were charitable trust funds put up in their name where they could, access it when they reached the age of 18 or adulthood for their benefit. So, there's a lot of information that supports that.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay,
Barb.
so along with that trust, it's my understanding that the banksters, when you take out a loan, they're taking that money out of your trust and giving it to you and charging you interest when it was there, put there for you to use, like without the banksters.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's another way to make money off of it.
My all was because I just broke my tea bag in my water. So sorry about that. I'm going to put you guys on mute for a minute. I got to get my wife to change this cup out. Hold on.
Yeah, all right. Go ahead, there, Barb.
Sorry
what
about
were you
that.
saying?
Yeah. Actually, Barb made a point. I wanted to respond to it. and I got distracted because I was making my wife's son's tea, and his tea bag broke. So my apologies. I got to redo his tea, and I lost my train of thought. Say that point again, Barb, what you were saying there.
That allegedly, I don't know this for fact or not, but allegedly your trust is put there. But when you go to a bankster to get a loan to buy a house or a car, or you get it from the car dealership, where that loan is coming from is they are accessing your trust, taking out that money, and then giving it to you and charging you interest on something that was meant there for you and for you to access. And it's just another way of making money off of you. You know?
Yeah, you made my thought come back to me, because I was just going to double up on what you said to make it even more clear for people listening, just to elaborate on her point. It's essentially when you go buy a car, that car dealership, the bankers that are backing that, they're pulling the money out of your trust so that car's been paid for already. They got the money for the car. The money they put out for the car, they got it out of your trust. So they didn't lose any money.
Yeah, they got it with your signature.
But
you
then
created it with your signature.
But then on top of that, they're now going to tell you have to pay the money back with interest. So not only did money out of your trust pay for the car already, it's already paid for, but now they're making you pay for it a second time with interest the second time.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying is going on. That's what they're saying is going on, assuming that the trust
is fraud
is real, which, again, there's plenty of information. I mean, you can look up I forgot what it's called, but it's Charitable Trust Foundation. That was established, I believe, in 1933, the same time all the banksters were getting involved with everything in the United States of America when they started hijacking the government.
Well, it all started with the Titanic,
Right.
And
well, it's all Mike for that.
The Titanic in the news. So, with the submarine that imploded, they held the information off for 5 days, all of a sudden it's Titanic, and two of the people that were on that submarine were related to two of the people who died on the Titanic, went down with the ship. And do y'all know the story of the Titanic? The real story.
Yes. Well, there was the Astors. The Astors were on there. Actually, the bankers were on there, and they sunk the ship.
Right, and
because they were the creation of the Federal Reserve.
Right. The bankers that were opposing the Federal Reserve died.
Yes.
They didn't want the Rockefellers, so we're all up to speed on that. Why is that in the news right now?
That's interesting.
The banks are going down. They're going down. They're imploding.
Yeah, but if they're imploding, all they're doing is really flip-flopping the digits. It's just digits, and it's all fake anyway.
No,
so
the whole
really,
thing is imploding, and lots of stuff is happening right now. And these are comms. I don't even know if that submarine really went down there, or these people were really on it. I mean, I don't know.
That's true.
They were, I saw videos today indicating that they're trying to fake their deaths, because they say that two of the people that were on the sub were the owners of the chemical companies that had the spills out in Iowa or wherever it was, a few months back. And
I didn't see that.
Yeah,
there are some WEF people, and there wasn't it like a Rothschild or somebody? There was some evil person connected that was on the board of that company. And what's up with like all these gates? Ocean Gate.
Let me ask you this question. What the people are crazy. Let me ask you this question. What causes a man to shoot a 6-year-old girl and her father in the back over a basketball rolling into his yard? How crazy are people? Is it this psychosis that's been brought on by the systematic oppression that we face. This Marxist propaganda agenda that's projected into the minds of this generation. How controlling really is it?
No,
Well,
it infiltrated our children through the education system, and I am witness to that. Okay, this whole I couldn't figure it out. But my daughter, my firstborn, she was born in '89, and she went to UW-Madison, and she became a community organizer. And then she went to UW-Milwaukee to be an advisor. The change from before college and after college was monumental. And she got pregnant like right after college, and and after her son was born, she wanted to raise him, without gender, and I had to use pronouns like they, them, or their name, which was really difficult to do, to change your whole language. And then she's correcting me, and then I lose my thought. But that was like 10 years ago, when this happened, right? And now I see all of this transgender drag shows, freak shows, excuse my language, but they look like clowns. I've seen their little parades, and they look like fucking clowns. How can anybody show themselves that way? I would be so embarrassed.
Yeah, let me say I saw a video today. Just every once in a while, for a minute or two, I'll just click on TikTok, open it up, and thumb through a few videos. And there's one of a parade in the street with a bunch of children. I mean, 8, 9, 10 years old, with their parents on the side of the road, sitting down and standing up, wearing all their rainbow colors, with some guy with a gray beard and bald head, looked like he was in his 60s, fat, with a belly, wearing nothing but underwear, standing in the middle of the street. Gyrating and twerking his ass in the street, and the kid mimicking him, and the children mimicking him. The United States of America is godless. It's a satanic den, and that's why right now we're going through the time of the sifting. The Creator Lord God Almighty is shaking the tree. When you shake a tree, the good fruit falls. You pick it up, and the bad fruit can, be burned, which is what's coming to people.
What's so most disturbing about that is the parents took their children there and thought it was okay.
Hey, Barb, let me say something real quick on that. Joe and I were talking on the phone earlier, and Joe was talking about, we were talking about the alleged so-called tunnels and thousands of children trafficked in pedophilia and all the politicians and world leaders sacrificing children and all this stuff that Joe and I were talking about, to the extent that there's a psyop with that, because it all comes from the Q movement, which is a psyop itself, and most people have been
I don't agree with you there.
The point is, you're talking about children, and that's the point. Children are held to the sins of the fathers, to the third and fourth generations. So those parents were not parents. Those parents were monsters that were turning their children into monsters. So they're all.
What is the one about put a millstone around the neck of one who harms these little ones?
That's right. That's exactly right. It would be better. It would be better to put a millstone around the neck and throw it in the river.
Be disillusional about the tunnels and saving the children. Yes, that is what it's all about, and the trafficking is for real. And
what about the AI?
Satan is alive and well in Hollywood, and people have been screaming. I've seen the videos. I've seen the videos of the children. I wish I could unsee them. Oh, my God. Do you want me to describe one of them?
Yeah, I guess.
Well, I'm sure
Joe,
I've seen them. You know, I've seen them.
Joe,
but you have to remember, there's a lot of Hollywood actors and provocateurs also out there that project these images into your head that psychologically leave this notion. Like, for instance, you know, simulating 1 second of the human brain activity takes 82,944 processors. You know, so you know, can we really decipher the language of the brain? You know, so that's but these have studied this for so long, and how we nurture thoughts in our mind and how we replay them back, these images in our head, like how you were just talking about what you saw.
Yeah, okay,
you see, that's how
but the video I saw was like a homemade video of a little 3-4 year-old boy hanging by his neck from a clothes rack. His pants were down to his ankles. He was struggling. His little sister was just a toddler trying to get to him, and this big fat man whacked her down and whacked her down again while that little boy was hanging in a noose.
I hate to say it, but you can see the exact same thing in a Hollywood movie that looks just as real. The problem that we have.
So then you're in denial that this goes on and that evil exists. If you believe in God and the Bible, then you believe Satan is real and Satan has arisen here, and the world is so demonic. People, they're not about people.
It's not about denial. To the contrary, it's about rising above a psyop, which is far greater than denial. And it is when Joe and I were talking earlier, we both agree. And let me finish my. Please let me finish. Please, this is very profound, so I'd appreciate if you let me finish my thought on this, because this is serious. This is serious, and it deserves explanation. Okay.
Yeah.
So to say that it doesn't exist at all would be a fallacy and would be in denial. Of course, such things exist in this world. There are bad, sick, evil people. The psyop is to push it out and promote it 1,000 times worse than it really is, precisely for the point of agitating the people, getting them to connect with this Q psyop, which it is. Q is a psyop. I can prove that upside down, inside and out, all night long for a variety of reasons. Let me just give one example. Aside from the numerous times that they always have their little, this is going to happen, but it didn't, it will because of this, it didn't because of that, and kicking their can down the road, which has happened repeatedly for the last 5 or 6 years. Aside from that, the notion, which I've heard repeatedly, this is one of the things that bugged me early on with the Q movement, which, again, let me state for the record, anybody in their right mind would want to hope Q was true and would want to believe it was all true, because what they say makes so much sense. You would want to believe it's true. It's righteous.
It really doesn't matter whether it's true or a psyop. It doesn't matter. It got people.
Let me finish. I'm sorry I'm yelling, but you have to let me finish, because, again, this is a deep, profound, serious issue, and it needs to be clarified. Okay? So to the extent that the psyop, the Q psyop, was put in place to keep patriots at bay, prevent them from doing anything, because the white hat insiders are going to take care of it. Don't worry about it. Just like Operation Trust before World War I, when the Jewish Bolshevik Revolution took over a Christian Russia, and the patriots wanted to do something. No, don't worry. We got the insiders. We're going to take care of these communists. It didn't happen. It was bullshit. It was a psyop. They're playing the same card today. Oh, don't worry about it. We got it. Q is bullshit. It's a psyop designed to keep patriots at bay, entertain them, pacify them, so we can keep kicking our can of corruption down the road. And it just so happens that all of these things about the trafficking and the Tim Ballards and all this stuff all came through the Q movement. So here's the point of it. Do those kind of things happen in this world? Yeah. Are there sick people in the world? True. So what's the point of exacerbating it? The number one thing is they are godless, and they want to take people's belief and faith in God and throw it out the window. And that does wonders for the many people who will say, look at all these terrible things happen in the world. How could there be a God? It gives a basis for questioning God Almighty because they put it in such an extreme way that you must question the existence of God. How can there be
I got a caller on the line, guys. Hey, I got somebody with their hand up. If you don't mind, I'm bringing someone else in the conversation real quick, if you don't mind. Just they look at their hand up. We'll see what they got to say. Now, remember, I get tons of weirdos out there, but hopefully it's somebody that we know. 323, go ahead.
Now, I'll let Mike finish his point about how God exists and is very wonderful.
Okay.
Right.
Oh, boy, this is going to be a good one. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
That's my point. When they get people, that's their psyop. Let's get people. Look, I told Joe earlier, I said, just to make a point, let's just hypothetically say that everything we've ever heard in the news about the kidnapper down the road that kidnapped the 6-year-old and cut her head off and raped her, and now he's in jail, and they get a crisis actor to play the part. Okay,
right.
Let's just say that all these horror stories we hear are in fact psyops because all of them are designed to make people doubt God and to say God must be a bloodthirsty tyrant to let these kinds of things be happening in this world. Number one. That's their number one point, is to get people to curse God, and there ain't no God. How would God allow something like this to happen? How could God allow Hillary Clinton and Ubadine, whatever the fuck her name is, pardon my French, but I get pissed off when I think about this bullshit. How can God let Ubadine and Clinton go in and fillet a face off a little 6-year-old just to make her scared so they could drink her blood filled with adrenochrome because she was in fear? There's no God when they believe that kind of thing happened. So they put out all these monstrous bullshit extreme narratives tied right into the Q movement, the Q psyop, so they could try to agitate and piss off the Christian patriot. Because now we're back to square one again. I've said it so many times. Who are the enemy of the New World Order, One World Government people? The only thing stopping in the way is primarily white, Anglo-Celtic, Christian, God-believing Anglo-Saxon WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant Christians, the ones that believe in God, believe in the Bible, believe in Christianity, believe in traditional family values, believe in the Second Amendment, believe in the Constitution. Those are the obstacle for the New World Order, One World Government agenda. So they want to do everything they can to agitate them, irritate them, and piss them off. And they do it through all kinds of psyops while simultaneously...
Maybe, just maybe, that the psyops was meant to agitate the patriots, the God-fearing people, and say, what the fuck are you going to do about it? What's it going to take?
All right, Joe's on the line, too. He wants to make a point.
Yeah, I could go on ad nauseum. Go ahead, Joe.
Joe, you want to say something now? What Mike had to say real quick?
Yeah, I can sum it all up.
Not to interrupt Barb, but I just wanted. I know you were waiting.
Yeah, in less than 2 minutes.
Go ahead.
If there is a God, an all-loving, all-merciful God, as everybody says they believe in, then hell by itself could not exist. An all-merciful God would not ever create a hell and throw people in there. Now, some people are going to say, well, God's not allowing me to go there. I betrayed his 10 commandments. He's got the power to create the universe. He's got the power to know in advance who's going where and what's happening, and he allows it, regardless whether people believe it or not. Now, some people, as Mike is talking about, might use that as a psyop in order to convince people, that Marxism and socialism and communism is good. And there are a lot of bad atheists, but I know atheists who are a hell of a lot better than Christians, have more moral values than Christians ever will. Christians like to thump their chest out and pound it and say, look at me, because I believe in God, and God works through me. And it's nothing more than self-aggrandizement. There's nothing more than lifting oneself up on a pedestal and trying to make people believe that they're humble. God, if he's all-loving, all-knowing, all-merciful, as everybody says they believe in, would never, ever create a hell. And if you people believe that a hell exists, then you can't believe that there's an all-loving God. The reason why
they're just wrong. They're simply wrong, Joe. They're simply wrong.
The reason why, I'm going to be finished in less than 30 seconds. The reason why everybody believes in that is because, as George Orwell had said, the human brain is very, very capable of having in its head two mutually exclusive thoughts, but believing that both of them are true at the same time. That's the capacity of the human brain. But you can't say God is all loving, all merciful, all good, and then throws people into a hell for eternity where 10,000 suns are going to sear apart that soul for all eternity. It's impossible.
You're right, Joe. You're absolutely right. In fact, that doctrine is completely false. It's not scriptural. It's a false interpretation and a wrong interpretation of the Bible, and the vast majority of Christians believe it. They believe that all-loving, all-powerful God is going to throw people into hell forever and ever, which is preposterous, it's absurd, and it's not representative of God's true character. But notice, it does exactly what I said. It not only do they do things to make people not believe in God, but they make people have a basis, even through Christianity, to say that's a psychopathic God. They put out all kinds of misinformation, disinformation, lies through the churches, through religion, through the television, and it's all ultimately fear-based, and it's anti-God Almighty.
Well, it is psychopathic God if the God supposedly exists and does allow or throw people into hell. It is psychopathic.
Okay, so I had seen this short video of this woman who was an actress in Hollywood, and she had said something to the effect of, why does Hollywood promote like that there is no God? And she said, because they know Satan is real. Let me
say one last thing, because I got to hang up, and I'm going to ask Josh if Josh wants to call back into the show, Joe. So I just want to say one last thing to bolster the points I was making earlier. One of the things I told Joe, too, one of the things that got me big early on with the Q bullshit was when I was hearing, man, all these children, all these tunnels, all these pedophiles, and they're raping and torturing children, and they're sacrificing children to Moloch, and blah, blah. All this started coming out during Obama's administration, right into Trump's administration. And the more that I heard these things like, oh, don't worry, Q, they've got it because they've been working on this for 30 years. So in other words, for 30 years, they've been allowing children to be trafficked and tortured and sent all through the world and not do anything about it. Bullshit. That's complete rubbish. Because to say that they've been planning it for 30 years means they've known all these things that are going on, and they allow it to happen for 30 years.
And they tried and they killed Kennedy. You know, Q started back towards Lincoln.
No, Q started.
Allegedly.
Like I said, Q started with Operation Trust before World War I. It's the same thing. It's all bullshit.
And I think even before that, or is that, no, it was the Civil War.
Hey, guys, I got to go. I have to hang up.
Or did the precursor of Q start back then?
I don't know if Josh, if you're going to get disconnected, but I'll text Josh the number to your show so he can call back
text
in.
Barb, if Barb and then Josh or whatever want to call in, that'd be great, you know. Well, why are you leaving, Mike?
Man,
I
got to go, All right, buddy.
All right.
And don't forget that Joe's got a show tomorrow about the about the fledgling operation of the BTR hosts.
Yep. Correct. Well, if you can try to get back in, Mike, you can. If not, then I understand. All right. All right. Well, yeah, I just lost 4 callers in one shot. Bam! Wow. The whole show just went to hell. There is a hell.
Did the woman go off the air too?
Yeah. They were all connected on a conference call with Mike. So yeah. Oh. But he'll send them he'll send them the number and they'll call back in most likely.
Yeah, they'll call back in.
So anyway, anybody else out there?
You know what?
Go ahead, Joe. I'm sorry.
I want to have a discussion with you about the Federal Reserve because you surprised me yesterday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Federal Reserve. All right.
When you're ready. I'm not, not to take up the show.
Oh, I'm ready. I'm always going to talk about the Fed. I'm an expert. I'm an expert on the Fed. Go ahead. Hit me.
All right. You said that if you eliminated the Fed and gave the power of the treasury, the power of printing money up back to the Treasury, that somehow the rest of the world will not accept our money because the central banks are in place in all of the other countries of the world, and the central bank via the Federal Reserve is in place here, and therefore our money would not be accepted. And I'd like to know, if you believe that, then you believe that even though the Federal Reserve is evil, you want it to stay in place.
No. If we got rid of the Federal Reserve, what would happen? Let's just say just hypothetically. Well, if we got rid of the Federal Reserve right now, let's just say today we got rid of the Federal Reserve, what would happen?
What would happen is that automatically, hopefully anyway, that the power of printing up the money would go back to the Treasury, and the Treasury would be able to print up the money to fund the government without issuing bonds, therefore no debt, no interest, and no Federal Reserve to buy up the bonds and become even richer and sending more money back to the Rothschilds and their minions.
Okay. All right. But abolishing the Fed, okay, let's raise this question. What should say? This debate is like been, now this isn't mine. I'm just saying, from what I've read and what I've studied, it was born out of the 1907 Depression, the Federal Reserve, obviously the idea of the Federal Reserve. Following 80 years without a Fed-like institution, we prospered, obviously, as a country. This law was created to implement currency reform designed to stop financial panics and to provide an emergency reserve of money for the economy. That's what the Fed was, obviously deception, because that's not what it's done. The Fed's mandate grew into what? Setting certain interest rates, controlling inflation, regulating banks, and reaching full employment. So what are the chances of repealing it when that was what was the idea, or that's when it was forced to implement it? Obviously, that would, that was like, no, that's what the Fed was going to do.
Yeah, you're right about what are the chances of repealing it, of extinguishing it, of destroying it. The chances are very, very slim, but just because the chances are slim of destroying it doesn't answer the question about what would happen if it were destroyed. If it were destroyed, then the American, huh?
I was getting to that. The global markets, because you brought that up. The global markets would need some sort of economic direction from the United States. The United States, obviously, is the world economic leader in the world. The dollar is the world's reserve currency. The Fed manages the dollar and the world's leading currency. So it would be void. Left the Fed, no America, no market. It would throw those markets into chaos with uncertainty. And who's managing the U.S. interest rates and the American economy then? The speculation would go, the naysayers and everything, it would just crash our economy, okay?
You're saying why?
The gold standard.
Okay, but why do you say it would crash the economy if the money is being printed not from the Federal Reserve, which just gives the authority to the Treasury, but gives it back to the Treasury, and the Treasury issues money without,
Because the amount of money in the economy would then have to be entrusted to the supply of gold in the world and cut down on anyone's ability to increase the U.S. dollars pumped into the economy. And one of the major criticisms of the Fed's policies has been since the 2008 recession, when we bailed out the banks with the currency backed by nothing, because there's not enough gold reserves in the world right now to even finance our own economy. That's what they're saying, because we're $39 trillion in debt. They say.
And they're probably right. It probably isn't. So the world, let's say our economy, our currency is not backed by gold. We've been off the gold standard since 1971, when Nixon forbade de Gaulle from coming in and exchanging his greenbacks for gold. People believe that Fort Knox is empty. Even if you have gold as the backup currency, as a limitation as to how much you could print, that would stagnate the economy, because if gold is, let's say, at 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 trillion.
Gold acts like a limit on economic growth also. The money supply would be based on the production of gold. The management of money is easier with a fiat currency. That's how the central banks are going to look at it, because there's just no way.
Let them look at it that way. It's not a problem. If they crash, then they crash. However, our economy would still, like I was saying last night, it would bustle. It would increase, because we don't have to pay the federal debt off. There would be no discussions about the federal debt ceiling. We wouldn't have to pay China back $3 trillion worth of money. We wouldn't have to worry about the Federal Reserve
Treasury's in charge
monetizing.
now. Treasury's in charge now. The Treasury's in charge now. The treasurer,
right?
The Treasury Secretary's in charge. Well, they're appointed by the president, the treasurer, and it must be approved by the Senate. Imagine the gridlock and chaos that would occur there between two parties splitting down the middle. Picking someone who's going to control our entire economy based on party lines.
They would they do that anyway. They would have to pick somebody by a certain deadline anyway. They have a treasury, which is in the Constitution. Right, the Treasury is instituted by the Constitution. Huh?
Yeah, but we don't follow that anymore. We're not. The Federal Reserve handles our economy. The Treasury doesn't do nothing. It's enough to just have an empty office. It doesn't do anything. The monetary policies are controlled by the Federal Reserve.
Yeah, that's why we're saying if you got rid of the Federal Reserve, there would be people in charge with enough integrity to realize that the Federal Reserve is not only unnecessary, it's an evil institution, and the money and the printing and the responsibility goes back to the Treasury. Therefore, the Treasury would be in charge, and it would be hopefully a force for good. Now, the reason why the Treasury would be, I don't know about a force for good, but the reason why we would not have any more debt is because when you print up money, it's like what Thomas Edison said. If you can print up bonds, you can print up paper. You don't need bonds.
Let's look at history, Joe. Let's look at history.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? All right. Having some sort of central bank may have been better than none. Out of 100 years of Fed control, the country has had 22 recessional years, including one depression. The 100 years before the Fed, 4 recessions and 6 depressions. Okay? You realize that? So the economy was that's true. All right. Now, so if you think that's a better idea, if you think that, and what's left in this until someone thinks of a better idea than the gold standard, or handing the economic keys to the Treasury Department, or just leaving a void, the Fed will probably have to stick around until we figure something else out. I don't think most of it, because just abolishing the Federal Reserve is just, you're taking a huge chance, and the Fed being dissolved is totally unrealistic right now with the real world economy. It just can't happen. It won't. It just won't.
Well, okay. The fact that it won't be. I'm not talking. Yeah, but I'm not talking about is the Fed going to be dissolved. I'm talking about if it were, and if the money and the power goes back to the Treasury. That means then, if the Fed was dissolved, there would have to have been honest people to have taken over and then given the power back to where it belonged. Now, what would the Treasury
I got 414. I see you, 414. I'm going to unmute you in a second. Go ahead, Joe.
Now, what would the Treasury do? Well, the Treasury cannot print up bonds then anymore. That means no more debt. If you keep the Federal Reserve around, Joe, we have $32 trillion worth of debt that we always have to pay off, and we always have to pay off the interest, and then we're going to continue around.
We are the debt. We are the debt. And we don't have to pay nothing because it's a promise of the government anyway. That's not our promise. But hang on, let me bring out 414. They might want to add to this conversation. 414, go ahead. You're unmuted. Who's this? Josh, maybe?
Yeah, Josh and Barb.
Hey, what's going on? We're having a conversation about the Federal Reserve money, your favorite topic, actually. So, what do you think about so far what I'm saying? We can't get rid of the central bank. It would throw the entire world into upheaval. And with the entire world with central banking schemes and practicing fractional reserve banking, we'd be the only country in the world that doing business with who? We couldn't do business with the rest of the world.
We don't need their slave money. We can just do away with it. Let God take control of us here. It's bullshit, man.
Well, we have to have a bartering system, though.
Yeah, we have to have a monetary system.
What are we going to have? Yeah. Because nobody's just going to give everything away and be honest and say, hey, I'll help you out and you help your neighbor out, and everybody just give. That's not going to happen. You're going to have everybody take, and you're going to have upheaval around the world.
Capitalism answers that. Capitalism answers the greed of people. So that if I'm greedy for whatever it is I want, and another person is greedy for what I want, the capitalism system comes in, institutes a monetary currency control, and the people can do the trading without doing bartering. money is very important.
So they're thinking we should keep the Federal Reserve, Barb. What do you think?
Get rid of the Federal Reserve. Yeah, it's a privately owned bankster company, probably located in the city of London. Owned by, yeah, you know who. Get rid of the Federal Reserve. We are going back to a gold-backed, silver-backed currency, as well as the rest of the world. I'm sure you heard of BRICS.
Yeah.
They're all going to, gold back. So Federal Reserve went down, just like
there's a concerted effort.
And the Titanic, right?
Yeah, there's a concerted effort to take away. As a matter of fact, the American dollar is on the way out because Russia and China and the BRICS, they want to get together along with India, I believe, and India and Pakistan.
Yep.
And they want to form a competitive currency against the dollar, and that's because they consider the United States too imperialistic. So we already have monetary problems.
The dollar is not gold back; it's fiat currency. It's oil back. Who owns oil? Who's the big oil guy? Rockefeller?
That would be Rockefeller along with the Rothschilds.
Right.
Well, Benjamin Strong was the president of J.P. Morgan, and J.P. Morgan owned Bankers Trust,
did you hear the news about him? Did you hear the news about J.P. Morgan?
Well, I don't know. Well, which one? I know. They're all corrupt and whatnot.
Well, no, the latest news is he was ordered to pay like $1 gazillion in the court case against I don't even know what, but he's going down, and that's why that little submarine went down. That's why the Titanic went down. The banksters are going down, and we are.
The story of the Federal Reserve is about good guys.
Yeah, I think they're going to do that and then take over with AI.
Yeah, the story of the Federal Reserve is about good guys and bad guys, and self-serving politicians helping their rich and famous friends. Also interesting, you should point out that, in the 19th century, British case law that paved the way for fractional reserve banking, which is what the central banks practice, with the bailment law undeveloped in the 19th century, bankers were able to win basically their case with it was called Foyle versus Hill, and that's when they implemented the fractional reserve banking scheme, and that's how they create money out of basically by fractional. Which if you deposit $90, I can recreate it 90 times over and then lend it out at interest. That's what fractional reserve banking.
I've often wondered about this little thing. Okay, so in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, we had a tax at 5.6%, right? So you go to McDonald's and you buy a soda for $1.06. Where does that 0.4% go to? You multiply that by how much? Where does it go to? I didn't pay $5.6. I paid $1.06. A penny. I'm going back to the penny, which is made of copper.
Liberty. Liberty lovers and freedom lovers. It sounds good.
It's only worth a penny, but yet they're going to take an extra point.
Well, let me explain this to you. With the Federal Reserve abolished, banks would be on their own. No more lender of last resort or taxpayer bailout. The inflation dragon would be slain, right? The boom and bust roller coaster ride leveled. That's it. Gone, right? So that's what you're saying. Is if we got rid of the federal, honest money's here. Well, that's it, right? Everybody's here and everybody's honest again.
I'm saying, the Federal Reserve, federal has nothing to do with it. It's like privately
I know that.
owned.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we call it, Federal Reserve.
So,
I understand it's not federal government.
Why can't we have our own gold? which is in mountains
There's not enough gold.
beneath the
There's not enough
land
gold
which
in
we
reserve.
own. We were given this to us by God. All of the riches of the earth. The gold.
If we produce
That's
gold,
for-
if we produce gold and go back to gold, we're just spending the gold. What do you mean go back to gold? What do you mean gold backing the dollar
We are
gold
going
or
back
us using
to
gold?
a gold-backed standard, a gold-backed dollar. So every dollar is backed by gold or silver.
And how did that work for us before?
It worked great until the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the banksters came in and took it over. And they accessed our trust, and they took our money, and they created taxes, and they have been sucking off of us since the beginning.
No. How many inflations
Why
and
do you say
depressions have we had since the creation of the
see this?
Because you're wrong. You're wrong. The facts are. I got the numbers right here. I just read them off a little while ago.
What?
Before the
What?
Federal Reserve creation, we've had and before and after, what 100 years of history of our country. Before with what the standard you're talking about,
you got to go back
and the standard I'm talking
further
about.
than 100 years. You got to go back.
Well, we can go back 1,000 years,
years.
but the numbers will get convoluted. You know, we could do a 100-year span here. 100 years is enough history. That's a generation. I mean, you know,
you got to do 200 because everything
200.
changed after 1900 and after the Titanic sank in 1913, I believe. And when
I'm saying 100 years
and
after
the
the
Federal
Reserve.
Reserve came in, that's when everything changed.
Yes, the Federal
And
Reserve
then
was
what?
created in 1907, technically. Okay, and it was implemented in 1913. Now, since the Federal Reserve has been created, we've had 22 recessions. We've had one depression. Okay, before the Federal Reserve was created, we had 44 recessions and 6 depressions. So our economy wasn't all that great before the Federal Reserve. It wasn't the best in the world. It
but
wasn't.
People survived. I mean, they didn't rely on.
You also have to take a look at how long they lasted and the kind of impact it made on the economy at that particular time. The 1939, or let's say 1929 recession, which was created under Roosevelt, certainly came after the Federal Reserve was instituted, and that was the worst depression we've ever had. Plus, you also have to take a look at the economic definitions of depressions and recessions.
Yeah, well, they're all money is
created.
Controlled.
Yeah, this could get on and on for the next 2 hours, Joe. Do you want to talk about the Federal Reserve for the next 2 hours, or do you want to talk about other stuff?
Hang on, Joe. Let's get to solutions, Joe.
Okay.
What's the solution then? What money system is going to work, and explain it? What would work?
And what would work?
The fact
would
that
be
the Treasury will not issue bonds. Would you agree that the issuing of bonds, if you have bonds, then you have debt. If you have debt, then you have nothing but continuous debt, having to pay off the interest, and the money goes into the coffers of the Federal Reserve. Does anybody know what monetizing means when it's done by the Federal Reserve?
No, I'm saying what system of money do you want to see? Joe, what's the solution? What money system do you want to have implemented? Everybody can get a shot here at this answering the question. What would be the best money system?
I would want the Treasury
our people
to
with
be
a bartering
able
system.
to issue money, right? To be able to issue money without having to sell bonds. If they've got, if the politicians needed, and if they were honest, so let's say they needed $1 million for a real good program, then the Treasury would give them $1 million. You don't sell bonds for $1 million at 10% interest, and then give at the end of the year, give 10% of $1 million, $100,000 more to the person who bought the bond, because now that means that you have to get $100,000 more that you didn't have before, which means you got to sell bonds again. That's how the continuous circle keeps going round and round and round. But if you just have the Treasury do it, you give $1 million to the funding of the program. The $1 million is there, no debt, not a penny, not one single penny of debt. That's how it works.
Okay.
Unless the project doesn't go through and they take the money and line their pockets with it.
Well, yeah, but I'm not talking about corruption. I'm talking about if they're going to do that.
Bonds.
Even if, Barbara, if you're going to do that, right? If they're going to take the $1 million and line their pockets with it, you still got to pay off $100,000 at the end of the year if you keep the Federal Reserve around.
Well, what I'm saying
the price
is
of new Treasury securities are set by private market demand and supply conditions to the Treasury auction. You know, there has to be a buyer. That's what I was trying to tell you last night, Joe. There would have to be a buyer of the securities of the Treasury. You just can't make money out of thin air. If we're going to go back to honest money.
Can we talk 501(c)(3)s? You know, like everything is so corrupt. We need to get rid of it all and start over and set it up like it was.
Yeah, but
originally.
How would you? But what kind of monetary? You want it backed by gold. Gold would have a limitation because if you only have like
and trade and then barter and trade.
Oh no,
we
you
are
can't have barter and trade. You can't have barter and trade because you live in Milwaukee, and if you didn't have money, you would need to barter something in order to get what you wanted. Now, if the person who has what you wanted is in California, then you have to go through a lot of machinations in order to trade what you have with that other person.
Get rid of the government and let us just exist. We've done it for thousands of years.
No, that can't work.
I mean, goods and services.
No,
I'm a gardener. I'm a landscaper. I'm into medicinal plants. God gives me what I need.
We've been there.
Yeah.
We've actually tried.
And it's true.
There are people who believe that you shouldn't have government.
True. And like, I search out farmers that, like, you know.
All right, I got another caller who wants to jump in the conversation.
If you want a computer,
got another caller who wants to jump in.
Grass-fed beef. You know, create
Hang on, time out. I got another caller who wants to jump in. 314. Go ahead, 314.
Okay.
Joe Gibson.
Yes, sir.
The Treasury could do what the Federal Reserve do. But here's the thing. You could wash away the $42 trillion in debt, which came about from spending more than your annual fiscal budget was set. But you still have those unfunded liabilities. In the next 4 years, or should I say in 2027, will be over $247 trillion. Unfunded liabilities is security, Medicare, it's pensions for government officials, and things along that line. $247 trillion.
Whole system
You're
here.
not going to pay that off.
Yeah, I know, Bianchi.
And another thing.
I know.
U.S. dollar is not going to go any place as long as the U.S. can manufacture and produce what others want.
Josh,
you're not going to buy a 737 jet from Boeing using any other currency than American dollars. That's the way it goes. Unless you, as long as you have something that somebody else has.
That we kind of like, this was a John Son idea years ago. We went round and around when he had his crew calling in. That we could just be free and we don't need money. We don't need government. We just give and help each other out. That's not going to work.
That's what capitalism is.
You're going to have idiots out there, you know?
That's what capitalism
is. And it's not enough gold.
Means you have mutual
You know
trade.
what? That's so cynical. That's so cynical.
What's that?
And I do for my community, you know, like.
I'm not saying you don't, but there's others out there that don't.
I'm just
there's
saying
others out there that are
saying
evil.
It's not going to work. You're saying it's not going to work.
It's not.
And like I'm a person of action.
No,
and I am growing vegetables.
No, come on now. That's what liberals do. No, I didn't say anything about you. I said there's bad people in this. Surely you understand. We're on the same planet here, correct? There's bad people in this world, right?
But
we can agree,
look
right?
Look at the good people. Look at the good people.
Okay.
You need to put out more positive vibes. not negative
That has nothing
vibes.
to do with that.
Because
That has nothing to do with
it's the
facts.
positive vibes that are going to lift us up and out of this hellhole.
I can sing you the best song in the world and make you feel good, and that's not going to change reality. Okay? The reality
Barbara,
of it is that.
No, we can change reality. We can
Barbara,
manifest it if we get up into
you.
the higher
All right, Joe, I'll let you get in there.
vibrations.
Joe,
right?
Barbara, Joe wants to ask you a question.
I want to ask you a question. There are people who believe that if they put their heads together literally in different cities around the world and different cities in the country here, and you have, let's say, I don't know, 100,000, whatever the number might be. These people believe that if you do that and if you concentrate, then the positive vibes will change the world. Are you one of them?
No, it's way deeper than that. I believe we are all connected from the earth to the sky. We are one.
Okay.
We all have a vibration, a heartbeat. We are not separate from the earth. What has separated us from the earth? Maybe your rubber shoes.
Oh, so you're one of those earth. Okay, so you're the Mother Nature,
Well,
Mother
all
Nature,
that stuff-
Mother Earth.
Hey, have you heard of electroculture? With the
I've
copper
heard
and
a little
wires
bit.
Hey, Joe.
and gardening?
Yeah.
Okay,
So you're saying we're all connected and we're
This is
energy.
the first year I am experimenting with it, okay? And you're going to want to hear this because I grew 30 heirloom tomato plants, 6 different varieties from seed. And then I planted some down here in Milwaukee, and then I took them up north Wisconsin, and planted them Memorial Day weekend. And that night, there was a frost. And it got down to 30 degrees. And the next day, they were all like laying on the ground, and then it got up to like 70, 80 degrees, which just fried them all. And then I had made some out of copper tubing. I made some spirals, and I had put them around the plant. Okay,
what's that got to do with that? Time out. What's that got to do with the conversation at hand here? What's that got to do with energy and us being one?
A lot.
So we're tomato plants now? I mean, what are you talking? I don't understand. What's that got to do with what the conversation
so
is?
The copper is key. Electroculture. This has been around for the last 100 years, and it was suppressed. If you make a copper coil, have you heard of Tesla? Have you heard of the ether and like connecting the ether to the ground or grounding wires? It makes plants grow bigger, better. It gets rid of, weeds.
So if I slept in a copper tube, I would grow taller and be bigger and better? I don't understand.
Maybe. But anyhow, the end of my story is this. So, 2 weeks ago, I was up there, and it was like, okay, there's still a stalk. There's still some life to it. And I saw an itty-bitty leaf trying to grow. And then this past weekend, that same plant with the copper coil around it, it had leaves. It survived, okay? So there's something to copper, and I want you to think about it. All the other ones that didn't have the copper, didn't come back. There's something with copper.
All right, that's fine. You conducted a little experiment. Okay, but what's that? I mean, what are you trying to say here? That we all should invest in copper?
Well, what it has to do with is we're talking about subtle energies in the collective consciousness and an awareness that you're not even aware of that's going on around you. You don't even perceive what's right in front of you.
What's that? You're talking about copper. You're talking about copper.
Giving you an example of something that's right in front of you that you don't even see while you're sitting there trying to degrade it.
No, I understand what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. Okay, well, let me give you now my story, okay? about 3 years ago, I planted five lettuce plants. Okay,
and
I mean, I could use the same experiment and then make claim to it that it has to do with energy. You know, I mean, yeah, okay, copper has some sort of energetic vibes.
Barb had originally made a point that if we come together and we raise the vibration, things get better, to where she's shot down as a quack because people don't see that because they don't get it, okay? But then she brings up this example
Josh,
of something that's legitimate
Josh,
that she actually did based
you're
on
wrong, man.
something
You're wrong.
Why do you keep saying you're wrong?
Because they want to win the
Maybe
argument.
he's
You win.
right.
I don't care.
Because it's been tried before. It's been done. What are you talking about? We all get together and come together as one. So let's have a new world order then, a one world government. We all get in one line together and agree on everything and just have one system. We all coincide with one system.
No, how about coming together as one, as God? As God meant us to be.
Because we're not God. Because we're not God.
And that's what this is all about. It's about uniting. And you're saying no.
It's about uniting to become God.
Say no and start saying yes.
We're not God.
Damn it.
We're not God. We're not God.
If we all connect, we the people, we will be one united under God. But we have to stop saying no.
Gibson, you going to stop together with a bunch of cross-dressers?
We the people, but then they want to stop it, so we're not going to do it. I'm done.
No, I said, I just told you, I don't have a problem with that. What are you talking about? Time out! And why can't all talk over each other? You know, I let Barbara say what she had to say. Okay, if that's what she's saying, we the people coming together as one nation under one God, okay, I don't have a problem with that at all. There's no problem with that. What's that got to do with copper, though? That's what I'm not getting. Can you explain that to me?
Everything. Copper is the key to life. It healed. It healed the plant. You know,
copper,
don't we?
Okay, a lot of things heal out there, though. There's a lot of herbal medicines and remedies out there, though.
Don't we need to connect heaven with the earth?
Connect with earth, you're saying?
I
don't understand what you're getting at with this. I don't get this.
Grounding. It has everything to do with everything, and. You know, it's like the things they have done to us over the last 200 years with their medicines and okay.
Yeah,
why
did
they say lead paint was toxic and they took it off the market?
What people that have those ideas need to do is go out in Arizona, form a settlement, and live that way, and let people observe and see how it works.
Yeah.
Do you want the answer to that one?
Say it again.
People that have those ideas. Yeah, people that have those ideas, go out there to Arizona and Nevada. There's plenty of land, and form your settlement and live under those principles where everybody else can watch and see how it turns out in about 20 years.
Barb, what do you think about that? Silence. I mean, is there any examples of this type of living where we're all connected as one, and this experimental evolution with copper? I mean, she's mentioned Tesla, so I mean, but Bianca, you made an excellent point. Is there? Why don't we try this and see what happens, and let everyone else see the success of it? Right? I mean, I don't own.
I'd be willing to contribute $100 toward the copper.
Yeah, well, they hung up and ran away, you see. Give me my ball. I'm mad because you asked me questions. I'm taking my ball, and I'm going home right now, okay? And that's what they just did right there. Give me my ball, and I'm going home. You see? Now, that's real positive energy. That's real positive, right? I mean, that was real positive, what they just did right there. You see? Because it's a bunch of crap. It's a bunch of nonsense. It's a bunch of malarkey bull crap, Okay? There ain't no copper tubing out there. If I stick my head in the ground with 8 inches of copper, I'm going to grow 10 feet tall. And, or I wrap copper around a tomato plant. It's going to produce tomatoes when it's 70 below zero. Don't give me that crap and that nonsense. I've heard it all before. Okay? These experiments and all this other nonsense. Don't give me that nonsense. You want to do that? Fine. That's America's free. Go do it. Like you just said, Bianchi, go do it. Okay? And if you're successful and life is so perfect and everyone heals and nobody has any problems or medical problems or ailments and life is, you have the abundance of life and you're happy, guess what? It'll spread like wildfire and everybody will want to do it then, right? It's not going to happen. Because you want to know what's going to get involved? My way, I want it my way. Your way, I don't like your way. Because everybody's different. Everybody has a different idea about how someone should do something else or how they want to live. And there's nothing wrong with that. But, you see, their way or I'm running away and I'm taking my ball and going home right now. You see? Now, that's not going to work. If you really believe in something, you sure as hell ain't standing up and fighting for it, are you? So that idea shot to hell right there. I was thinking about the copper thing, too, for a minute. But now they just ran away and don't want to explain it at all and didn't want to go into details about it. So it's a crack of baloney. It doesn't work. It don't work. So anyway, 657-383-0616, press the number 1 here. Bianca, you still with me?
Well, see what you have. You have people with all these exuberant ideas and innovative thoughts. We can stand back and see. They never take it on themselves.
Yeah.
There's nothing stopping this group. I can't think of the guy's name. They can go out in Arizona and stake off some land, bring the rest of their followers and likewise ideas, and go ahead and put this thing in. You and myself can stand back and watch and see exactly what comes of it in about 20 years.
But where did that come from? I mean, I don't understand. Well, hang on a second here. Did I just walk into a time portal or something happened here? We were talking about the Federal Reserve and talking about the economy and how to fix the economy, and we ended up on a story about a tomato plant. Can you tell me how we ended up there, please? I got to listen to this show and figure out how we got there. I mean, do you remember how that happened?
Well, you run
it.
into a lot of shows where people have these proverbial time machines, and having a machine like that where you can go back in time 500-600 years, you should be the richest man on earth. I'd be selling it, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I just want to go back about 20 minutes and figure out how I got here. I just don't understand what happened there. I just don't get it. I don't understand. Did you say something wrong? Or Joe left, too. He took off and left, too. I think he was getting aggravated because he was trying to ask, because as soon as he found out Barbara was one of those types that lives up in the sky in the, in the clouds, literally, I guess, he took off. So, but you see, I'm not like that, though. I want to hear him out. I want to hear how you got there. I want to hear how you got from point A to point B. I want to hear if there's any substance to it. I want to hear if you're just pulling my leg. I want to hear if you're just, maybe sipped a few drinks tonight and you just want to hear yourself talk. I want to know the facts about what you're saying. You see, I want to listen, but I'm going to ask questions. If you don't ask questions, then how the hell are you supposed to get any answers?
Well, you're talking about the interest on the debt in 2027 is projected to be over $2 trillion. That's more than double defense spending in total.
Yeah.
How the hell are you going to pay that off?
You could tax everybody 100% of their salaries right now, starting today, and for the next 10 years, and you still would not pay off the national deficit. You still would not.
No, you will not. And then, Joe, you got the unfunded liability. Now, this applies to Americans. Americans looking forward to their Social Security. Veterans are looking forward to their benefits. And you have other entities out there that's been promising these things and have been paying for hopes to receive them at someday. Now, what you going to tell them? I don't think they're going to stand for it too happily.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that. You know, I mean, you know, people don't be scared to call in here. You know, nobody's going to attack you. You know, I mean, come on. I mean, where's the grow a pair? You know, come on. You know, everybody gets afraid and they act like, you know, I mean, I just don't understand why you would spend that much time on a podcast show and then take your ball and go home. I don't understand. I don't get that. It's just my head spins. I mean, I just can't get I just can't grasp that. Why you would spend all that time talking? You're telling me a story about a tomato plant, and a frost, and now the tomato plant has leaves. Okay, and then you get angry and hang up on me. I don't understand. I mean, it wasn't a crank call because that person was on for a long time. We were talking private before the show even began. I was on a conference call with Mike, so I don't understand how that played out. I just don't get it. I don't know. Is anybody out there? Can they call in and explain it to me? What happened there? Did you say something wrong? Did I? I don't understand. I don't get it. I just don't understand. Did anybody answer those questions?
I just asked a simple question.
Yeah, I know. And you actually said it. And you say you should have brought that $100 bill up a little bit quicker. You know. Because everyone will do everything for money.
You know, I would contribute $100 bill towards. I would contribute $100 towards some copper.
There you go. You know, copper tubing. Copper tubing is the answer to all our problems and to solve everything in the world's problems today. Let's see. How about Putin and the war in Ukraine? Maybe we just made him a phone call and called up over there and said, "Copper's your answer." You think he'd stop the war over there in Ukraine? Do you think the Federal Reserve will?
No, I don't think it would stop, but it would be a good try.
How about the Titanic people? Those people that got lost there or whatever. They're trying to find out how the thing imploded and exploded. That's a horrible way to go, huh? You lay down there in the ocean floor like that.
But you know, it seemed like some common sense would have came into play. When people looked at the structure themselves, of course, you know, so people look at things. They're used to getting in cars, nothing happened. Getting into
but why
MGs
would it just implode like that, though, Bianchi? Why would it just implode? It's built to go to those depths. Why would it just implode?
It wasn't structurally sound to stand that sort of pressure. You know how
really
in submarines?
There's Joe.
I don't know about the modern submarines, but check this out. In submarines, at least in some of the old ones, they used to take a string or a line and run from one side to the other and pull it taut. And then as they dive, when those side sculls coming in, then they can measure how close they are to their perceived limit by how much the line sags. So that tells you something right there.
All right, but again, though, that submarine was been down to those depths many, many times already. It didn't just implode and explode into nothingness. So what happened down there? I mean, what could have possibly happened? Surely every scenario of when you're down in those depths going to explore the Titanic must have been played out many times, you know, when if you bump into something or you hit the side of the rubble or all those scenarios must have been played out, or some system failures. That's what they do on a jet. Test this, test it, test A, test this. That's what you do when you're dealing with mechanical machines like this. So surely this must have been played out. Why? You just don't lower the thing down to the bottom of the ocean floor and it just explodes. It just doesn't work that way. There has to be an answer, you know? I got Joe with his hand up right now.
It depends on how many times it went to those depths. Then the material was fatigued. Well, at some point in time, material will fatigue, and then it will give out without any warning. You know, even with fighter jets, their wings have to come in, and they perform a procedure that's called ultrasound testing. It's non-destructive testing, what it is. And they go over every square inch of those wings looking for...
That's what I'm saying. They must have done that, Bianchi. Don't you think you would do that? I mean, I know I sure as hell will. If I'm going down and I know I could die and anything could explode, I'd be like, these guys, there's only a 5-man crew there. You know, I mean, I'm surely, you know, like I said, it just doesn't make logical sense. You know, I don't hop in my car if I see all 4 tires flat and just take a chance to drive down the road and see what would happen. You know, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. I don't drive with the doors open. You know, I mean, it just doesn't make sense. You know, but anyway, Joe, if that's you, 323, Barb and Josh, they took their ball and went home. They got angry and upset because they thought we were making fun of them. So, well, they thought we were making fun of them. They got angry, and I'm not on their team anymore, I guess. So.
Well, what did we do to make those fucking angry?
I don't know, Joe. This is the problem. See, Joe, this is one of the problems with a revolution or trying to organize people together. And this is why every single time when you get a movement started, it falls apart. Because you got the nobody wants to compromise. And you know what? If you're not going to do it my way, I don't care. It's like little babies, you know. They throw the bottle down and they take their ball. I'm going home and it's my ball and you're not going to play with it. You know, I don't care if the whole country goes to hell in a handbasket. I disagree with you. You know, and then we make fun of the liberals, and that's what they do. You know,
I like to listen to the download of that. But when it comes to the submersible, I don't know much about it. But I'll tell you that there have been submersibles that have gone down to the depths of the Titanic, I believe, because somebody was making a comment about this particular submersible who's gotten lost, and they said that I think they were right next to, toe to toe with the Titanic. I think there have been, submersibles.
It's been down there. Yes, Joe. That subway
Russia's been doing it for a while.
Yeah,
Russia's been
I don't know what
doing it
happened
for a
to
while.
this one. The guy, James Cameron, the director, he said that he knew in advance. He knew that when the news came out that they imploded, he said that he knew that they were destroyed something like 3 or 4 days before the news came out. I guess he must have reasoned
had a blackout
out something.
Probably,
I don't know.
They probably wanted to have time to get the insurance together. But them other guys, I offered them $100 toward their copper purchase, and then they ran away.
Yeah, they got mad. Yeah.
What happened? What was said to make them pissed off? Because when I left, they weren't pissed off at anybody.
Well, when you hung up, they took offense to that. And then number 2, then we started asking questions about the copper theory. And when she went on a story about a tomato plant and how it had leaves and after the frost or something, and I was trying to figure out, well, what's that got to do with the Federal Reserve? And and I was trying to tie the stories together.
That's why I hung up. I hung up because she was starting to talk about how everybody should get together, and then she started talking about plants. I thought she was going to continue to talk about planting and community. So I said, look, it's a good thing that people look out for each other, but I didn't come here to learn about that. I wanted to talk about the Federal Reserve, current events, and your show tomorrow to get people together.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. With their ideas of one world, we are the world, and it's just not going to happen. It doesn't work that way. We're too many different people on the globe.
I agree with you. I always bring up the analogy. If you take any group of people on the planet, I don't care what nation, what tribe, what part of the country, you bring them forward 100 years from now, and you put them in a spaceship. And that spaceship lands on a planet, and they can be of the most pacifist tribe, country, nation, etc. They can be of the greatest religion, but you put them on a planet that has $1 trillion worth of rare earth minerals and other minerals and gold, uranium, and plutonium, etc. And that planet has inhabitants that has weapons back to the 1700s or so. How long would it take for anybody inside that spaceship, knowing that they could bring all of those trillions of dollars back to the Earth? How long would it take for them to kill all those people if those people said, no, we don't want to trade, we don't want to give you anything is buried, they're underneath sacred ground, we don't want you going underneath sacred ground? How long do you think it will take for those people to die?
Everybody's got their own beliefs and how they believe and what they believe in. But you see, this is the problem, though. It's the stubbornness of people, too, not willing to compromise and listen to what other people have to say. Instead, they got to flap their mouth, and everybody's got to yell over each other and say, and she was doing that consistently, I noticed, and being sarcastic, too. You know,
Oh.
So but that's fine.
You know what?
I do it too. Good.
No, I was about to say, of the 2 to 3 programs that we've had as a promo, was precursor to your show tomorrow, because I told people that was the informal. I was on Sally's show earlier today. I said that's the informal, formal beginning of the launch of the BTR hosts getting together. So, but when we've had the shows on various shows, like Laurie's show, your show, my show, et cetera, not my show, other shows talking about this, people had different ideas, but we did listen. And that's very, very important. We do have to listen.
Yes.
But most people have nothing but complaints.
Yep.
Joe, you and I go back a long time. It's the same basis. Complain. Where is the solution?
Yep.
There is no solution.
Exactly.
They just complain.
Yeah. That's all we hear about is the stories of them complaining. That's it. You know, and I don't want to talk about positive stories either. You know, I want solutions.
You want to talk about what?
You know,
I didn't hear you. Sorry.
No, I said I don't want to hear about positive stories either. That positive energy crap that she was talking about. You know, that's not going to seal all the fate of the people. Let's talk about real solutions. Come on, let's get back to planet Earth here. You know, let's not be in the clouds. You know,
and besides, I'm always one for proof. I mean, if somebody can provide for me proof that you had a room full of people who could put their heads together, either literally or figuratively, and actually, as a result of the energy that's generated by our brains, can actually do some good on this planet. If you had clinical evidence of that, I'm all for it. But if you don't have evidence, I just say that it's nice, but no evidence.
That would be really easy, Joe. What we could do is do a podcast show, and everybody could just be quiet, and we could just think, and we can change everything that way, right?
Sure. I mean, if we have like 100 people joining up and everybody, holds hands figuratively, they actually did an experiment with prayer. Huh?
Or press 1 at the same time, you know?
Yeah, right. And all the ones would signify all the energy going out into the universe. Just, solving every problem that we have on the planet here. That would be nice if that would actually happen. They did like I said, they did an experiment. There's 2 experiments. One experiment said that we put our heads together, we prayed for certain people in the hospital, and the people got better. Another experiment said we prayed for certain people in the hospital, and nobody got better. So you have 2 research groups coming up with diametrically opposed, results. But I'm always one for evidence. You know, if you believe in something, why do you believe it? Where's the evidence? I mean, you can't believe in something out of thin air. I mean, well, some people can, but I'm not like that.
I worry about people that are chasing money all the time, Joe. I worry about people that are chasing money. You know, they're always talking about. It's not people that want to raise money, because I understand things cost money, and you have to raise money to build ideas and the structure of a foundation and a movement and whatnot. I get all that, but people that don't want to work. And they complain about working or having, or just you want to sit around and do nothing don't, that you got to be careful of. That's laziness. And those people always want free. Everything should be free. We shouldn't have to work for it. It should be given. We should just give everything away. We should work together, and I don't like that because, Peter Schiff, this guy, economics professor, did something real quick.
I've read a few of his articles,
Yeah, and he's about 7 guys stranded on an island, and they divvied up the jobs, and one guy just didn't want to do anything, and it was a great story. I don't know the whole logistics of it, but it made so much sense at the end. It's like, that's why it doesn't work, because one guy wants it all, and one guy doesn't want to do nothing until we create a vacuum, a Shark Tank, and because all of us are different. We're all different.
And resentment would begin to start too, because let's say there are 7 people, 1 or 2 people don't want to do anything. The other people are fishing, they're hunting, they're climbing up trees, they're doing all the work, and these people are doing nothing yet. They're benefiting from the work that these other people do.
Yeah.
I tell you one thing, not me. If I'm working and you're enjoying the benefits of my labor and you're not participating, I'm taking your ass off the island.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct. And then, or you're not doing enough work, maybe. Then you get that you get people that are anal, retentive, and pertussive. That just don't matter what you do, you can't appease them. I'm sure everyone's run into those types of people in their life. No matter what you say or do, they just want to be happy. So
you know what you call them? What? You know what you call them? Women.
Oh boy! Uh-oh. That's it. I just lost half my listening audience.
That's okay. I go on shows and I express my viewpoints about females and how women are really overrated when it comes to when men die, when men create, when men innovate, when men build up a society, and women sit back and start complaining about the patriarchy. Fuck that shit.
Yep. Yeah, well,
fuck
patriarchy.
Yeah.
That's the way you got to be like, or Mother Earth stuff. Those guys, I've heard them too before. That Mother Earth
you're
stuff.
You're telling me that you're in, Mother. I don't have anything against Mother Earth. If it works, I don't have anything against people who have good intentions towards people. But for them to believe that all you have to do is just, kumbaya, and everything's going to be solved, that's unrealistic.
Yeah. Well, you're absolutely correct. But again, we live in a very complex time here now. We're more sophisticated, more knowledgeable. We have more materialistic things, and that's why mental health is becoming such an issue. Like, for instance, with people that like prisoners that come out of prison and stuff. Because back 50 years ago, they didn't have TVs and flat screen TVs and smartphones. So when you got put in a cell, you weren't really losing too much. But now when you go into a concrete box and you don't have anything, you're detached from all the materialistic things that kept our lives running on the outside. So mental health, that affects the mental health of someone. You're detached from reality. You're not in reality. You go from one reality to another. And that affects the mental health of, So,
and a lot of convicts they're talking about PTSD and being locked up, especially if you're an innocent person. I have to give my hat off to those people who spend 5, 10, 15 years in prison who are innocent, and they come out and they're not insane, they're not homicidal, and they just want to reintegrate into society.
I'm one of them.
I say you are. Are you really?
I am. Yeah, I spent 2.5 years in administrative segregation when I was working for the government there undercover. Yeah.
Well, my hat is off to you, Joe.
Locked down, brother.
Oh my God! And then were you in solitary? Oh
yeah, 2.5 years. 2.5 years, never came out of my cell one time.
How the fuck did you survive?
Showers came to the door and everything. Yep. Never came out. They used to ask me about one of my 1 hour
running around, cockroaches. The food was shitty, and you didn't see anybody. You might have heard. Oh, holy shit!
Nope, no visits.
You should tell people.
Nothing.
No fucking way.
Yep. Yeah. Oh yeah, it happened. Yeah, that's the real truth. I was in northern. They shut it down. That's how bad it was. They closed the facility down, but they built it and made it into a supermax. And you don't understand. In the early 1990s, the gangs were so out of control. There's documentaries on it actually about the gang and the mafia and the corruption that they had in the state of Connecticut during that time period. And it was just the wild, wild west. And they had to, fix the problem. And they ran everything. And that's one of the reasons what I did.
Wow.
But anyway, I was in there in Supermax, and a guy attacked me when I was in there. So I had to defend myself. So I stabbed him.
Sure.
And they put me in administrative segregation.
Yeah. Fuck.
So
you know what? When I come across a vet, or when people come across me as a vet, they say thank you for your service, and I especially say thank you to those who were, who go to the front or who are up in the country, etc. But what do you say to a person who's been locked up as an innocent person and sent to solitary? What do you say? You say, I'm sorry? Well, I didn't cause it, but I'm sorry for the fucking scumbags. I'll apologize for those scumbags.
You never get that time back.
It.
Time is one. Time is a very strange thing, especially when you're in there. Time stands still when you're in there. I noticed. 1 minute could be like an hour and a half, And the best scenario I use for people who don't know what it's like in there in those types of situations is go sit in your closet or your bathroom. Sit inside your bathroom and just shut the door and lock the door and just sit in there all day long. And just imagine spending all day, all night, eating your food in there, going to, and then put a roommate in there with you and just stay in there all day and night. Imagine spending days, weeks, months, years in that little bathroom.
Yeah.
And can't get out, and that's what it's like, I mean, pretty much. I mean, I used to count the center blocks and everything. I was so bored. I mean, your mind plays tricks on you too. You see, you just start seeing, and and the noise, people bounce, hanging on the door, Well, this is what they did to me too now. Well, listen to this. When they put me in there first, this is what their little CERT teams do. They're little Ninja Turtle guys that come around. They beat people up, And when they put me in there, they 4-pointed me to the bed. They 4-point strapped me down. Okay.
Right.
So when they came in to take one of the handcuffs off to let me eat, I belted the guy. I belted him. Because I'm 4-pointed down, man. I'm mad. I say, he's got me chained down like an animal. So I belted the guard. So they call them COs.
Right.
I belted the CO, and then they, so they said, okay, we'll fix you. So what they would do is every 3 or 4 days they'd move me from one cell to another, and then tie me down again for like 8 hours, 9 hours. So when they came in with the Ninja Turtle, they come in with these CERT team outfits with shields and everything, and they go boom, 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 and they stomp their feet like real hard, like to try to intimidate you. Well, so I fought them every time they come in. When they say, lay down, face down on the bed, I said, F you, asshole, come on, and then I'd fight them, and then, of course, I'd lose. I fought the best way I could. Sure. And then, and they'd slam me down to the ground, beat me up for a little while, and then 4-point me, drag me. I remember them dragging me by the shackles, right? They're dragging me by my feet, right? And one guy's trying to hold my hands. He's dropping me on purpose, and they're dragging me down the concrete stairs. Boom, 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 boom. I remember my head banging on the stairs. Boom, 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 boom. And then they throw me in the cell. These guys are big guys, too strong, that's how it is, man. I've seen guys get killed in there. They hang up, they hang themselves, they go crazy. I mean, it's just, and the people, they don't care about you. They're mean. They'd mess with me. They'd be knock on my door. They go, ping, 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 knock on the glass in the door. They go, hey, Gibson, you got mail today, but I'm not going to give it to you. Like that. You know what I mean? Because mail, is a big thing. You get a letter from home, Right. And they say, I'm not going to give it to you. And I said, tell them, rub it on your chest, asshole. That's what I say. I say something smart to them. You're a reject. You couldn't become a police officer and stuff like that, But there was a book written about it.
That's horrible,
some kid,
man.
This college kid wrote a book about some of my story, actually. But that crap
really?
I went through. Yeah, it's on Amazon. He didn't do too good of a job.
Wow, what's the name of the book?
What's the name of the book? Behind the Walls, The Life of a Secret Informant, an arrangement gone bad. If you just type in Behind the Walls by Joel Hodnett, Hodnett, it'll come up on Amazon. And it's got federal court transcripts in there from when I took the government to court and sued them, for what they did to me. And, how they screwed me over and didn't keep their promises, a lot of promises, and how they tried to kill me. And the court case, when I took them to federal court in 2004, many years later, the jury was so, after the testimony that I gave and the proof that we were offering about how corrupt the system was, how the murders and everything that was going down, the jury went to the judge, the federal judge, and said, we don't want to rule on this case. We fear for our lives. Now, think about the history of this country, through all the mafia trials and everything, right?
Yeah.
They declared a mistrial. The first time ever in a civil federal lawsuit, civil, not criminal, civil, that a jury was allowed to get out of a trial because they feared for their safety. So that made national media attention right there. And then, they did Richard Blumenthal from Connecticut did a big interview about me. Yeah, Gibson was working for us, but he did some bad things, and, and he's a lying asshole, and so we had to throw him in there for a little while, right. Going over the logistics of everything, asshole. And then Senator Lieberman, the guy that ran for vice president with Al Gore, he's a corrupt son of a bitch. Let me tell you that right now. I had crap on him, and they wouldn't bring it. You know, he was a corrupt son of a bitch.
Wasn't he Lindsey Graham's friend? No, he was McCain's friend.
Al Gore. No, Al Gore. He ran as vice president.
Al Gore?
Al Gore. Yeah. Remember 2000? Senator Joe Lieberman.
Gore, but yeah.
Yeah. Dirtbag. You know, so.
Wow.
Yeah, Blumenthal. Yeah.
The United States is infested with corrupt people like you just got through describing. I don't know what it would take to get rid of them.
You're right, because I worked against it, and I tried to break it up and stop it. And the tentacles are so deep and infested, like you just said. And what do they do to people that try to expose it, or if they come across the wrong information, they sell you out. Then the guys you're working for, they're corrupt too, probably. So it's hard to find somebody who's honest, who's really, really, you know, that's genuine. I mean, I thought the guy I was working with, the intelligence officer, I thought the gang intelligence officer I was working with was my friend. I thought we had a good partnership, and he was protecting me, and he didn't. He sold me out, man. You know, and that's why I almost died in there. You know, that was the first murder attempt. The second one was years later, but on the street. But, you know, I mean, when they slashed my throat open the first time, you know, like, it was a setup job.
Damn.
You know, I told them the contract's out on me. The Terminators put a hit out on me. You know, and they moved 3 of them out and leave 1 behind. Come on, man. Why would you move 3 and not get out the 4th guy? You know what I mean? Why would you leave? Why would you move 3 and leave the 1 guy behind? Why would you leave 1? So I'm thinking all 4 are moved out, and the guy sneaks me, comes up behind me, slashes my throat open. You know, 16 staples. If I didn't lean forward, I was getting ready to call the my guy, you know, because I had the prison phones. I had a direct number to his office, or you know, because they didn't have cell phones back then like they do today. And I had a direct line to his office, so I was checking in to see if they moved the 4 guys out. So I'm leaning forward, and once I leaned forward, that's when the son of a bitch came up behind me and got me, and he struck me in the back of my neck on the side and rubbed with a surgical blade. Cut my neck 1/2 inch deep all the way around to my side and the back. And came within a centimeter of my jugular, or I'd be dead today. You know, and it's still, you know, I just think about that, and you know, it just you know, thoughts go through my head, and I don't know. It's but rough,
you know,
man.
Joe, that would be one method that I would like to try. And that's to take 2 or 3 of them and publicly execute them. Right out there where everybody
it's found guilty, yeah. I got another caller here, too, but yeah. Well, found guilty, if they get a trial, you're right. A public execution, hang from a tree, you know, or something, right? Yeah, you're right, Bianchi, yeah. And that's how you'd stop a lot of corruption, too, because they fear that. Go ahead, private caller.
Greetings, this is Brother Warren, host of New Orleans Week Up, the hottest show on Blog Talk. How's everybody doing?
There he is.
Oh boy,
how you doing?
Oh God.
If I didn't have to eat or sleep, I'd be broadcasting all day. But I got to eat and sleep.
I understand. So what's on your mind? Real quick.
Oh no,
here.
I was just listening to the conversation there, and I was just after having chimed in on Sally's show, I was just sharing with Nathan and all the people on Sally's show how people are pretty much diverted to small-time issues and don't see what the bigger picture is, and are diverted by what I call tribal politics. Everybody's in their little corner in identity and not seeing how they're being ripped off.
Well, don't they do that purposely by isolating us and then singling us out and then eliminating us too? That's what they did to me in a way.
Well, I was listening to that part. I had tuned in with that part. I didn't get the full context of you being cut open or nothing like that. I didn't know you was a gangster or anything like that. Is there a Netflix movie about you on there or something?
Oh boy,
they should make it. They should make a movie about me. There's a book written about me though.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. What's the name of the book?
Behind the Walls by Joel.
I'll read it and invite you on interview. Behind the Walls.
HODNETT. Yep, on Amazon. Google it, and it'll be there. Behind the Walls by Joel Hodgnick.
Behind the Walls.
Hodgnick. Yeah, but you got to by Joel Hodgnick.
I'm looking at the reviews now. Yeah.
Wait, let me go on there
I got
now.
some assholes up there. Yeah, I got a couple idiots in there that want to write stupid crap, but
You know what it says? You know what it says?
What?
On one of the reviews, it says the first part of the book, effectively, Joe's story was interesting and quite gripping.
Well, that's good. Any other good reviews or bad reviews? I never really looked at them. I try to.
I don't know. Let me see.
Is it by Karen Myers?
No, Joel
by
Hodnett. Hodnett. Joel Hodnett. You got to put that, otherwise you'll get every other behind the wall book up there. The guy who wrote it. He was a college kid, and he asked me permission. He's like, "Hey, man, after telling the story one night, I was sitting at a bar, and I said, and the girl I was dating, she goes, tell him your story, and so." I said, all right. So we're drinking. He's like, oh, my God. He goes, well, I'm a writer. He goes, can I write a book about this? And I said, yeah, go ahead. So, I gave him the transcripts and everything, and, he didn't do it too good of a job, I think, in the book. Wait,
what's his last name,
ended up
Joe?
getting married. Huh?
What's his name again?
Behind the Walls. Behind the Walls.
By Hodnett, Hodnett.
Yep, Joel Hodnett. Joel Hodnett. You gotta put by Joel Hodnett, otherwise you'll get every other Behind the Walls there is.
I got it. I got it.
Yeah, it's got a picture of a crown.
You got a few bad reviews, a few good ones.
Yeah. Well, I don't get any money from the damn thing anyway. I don't get paid from the sales. So I never got any royalty checks from it. But they should make a movie out of it. That's what I've been told anyway. But
why not?
I'm gonna get the book. I'm gonna get the book and read it. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna invite you on my show as a guest about the book. There, I'm gonna have to get it and read it.
There you go. That's a good idea, Warren. There you go. You are there.
Well, that's what I do on all of my shows. My show is informative.
Yeah, Warren, but only this time you have to pick up the phone, because I was there today. You didn't pick up.
I did. Twice.
Yeah, he doesn't do that.
I went back to you. You didn't say nothing when I went back to you.
I didn't say anything. You didn't.
But you enjoyed the class, though? You enjoyed the class?
I was only there for the last 20 minutes, so I'm glad I missed the whole class.
You was tardy. That episode was called Systemic Racism 101, a course for white conservatives.
Yeah. I know. Well, that's your major theme. It's always about how conservatives are all racist and don't know what's the real story that's going on, and they.
Story, Warren.
Yeah.
Well, the liberals don't take any of the blame, I mean, come on, man. I know, but
conservatives are very tunnel vision and all of that. Conservatives they don't look at the unions, they don't look at the wages, they don't look at the poverty. Actually, we do, Warren. Well, I'm not a conservative. The conservatives do, and the libertarians do. We try to find out solutions for those people, called the free market, so that people can actually make a good living in life, do and perform and ascribe to and reach their goals in life. Nothing wrong with I'm not a God-fearing man, but nothing wrong with God, country, and the Second Amendment. You know that, and freedom.
Yeah. Well, if anybody wants a copy of the book, I got a few copies here. I can send you a copy if you want. I mean, anybody who can't afford it, buy it online. Send you a copy.
Well, you can get it free online if you're part of Amazon's Kindle program, which I'm not. Because everything is always later on. You got to pay a price for it. Nothing is free.
Yeah, I didn't know you didn't know that about me, Joe. Though I didn't know you didn't know that, but I thought I covered that.
You never talked about it, Joe.
Yeah, maybe I didn't.
I've been going to your show for how long? Almost a year. You never talked about it.
Yeah, well, it's part of. I'm not really proud of that part of my past. I mean, I infiltrated a gang, became president of the gang, and it was a very, very rough period of my time in my life. I got kicked out of the military. I mean, I made some bad decisions. I mean, I was young and I guess, I can see how people make the wrong decisions. That's why I'm so in tune with the people is, when they make that mistakes, where people get jammed up in life.
Yeah.
I understand how easy it is to make a mistake and get put into that type of life, and it's.
There's a show that comes
really
on every day just about it's about that. It's about it's a woman who has her son behind bars, and she's been talking about how the incarcerated need to be rehabilitated, how the American people have to wake up to to people and their mental health issues in prison. I've been on her show several times, and I've agreed that the American people have to wake up to the fact that when people get out of prison, especially if they've suffered in prison, if they've gone to what you call segregation, the layman terms it the hole. No, not the whole, but solitary.
Yeah, I know.
That when people come out, they don't have a job, they don't have a contact. They have to have a network that's effective so that they can be rehabilitated and reintegrated into this. Yeah. So I'm all with her. Her name is Laura.
What do you do, Joe?
God.
Tell me something. You're an inmate, right? Let's say you spent 15 years in there. Okay. And
don't
what
ask.
Do you do
I would have. I would have killed somebody or been killed. I would have been killed or killed somebody.
Yeah. But what do you do though? Just say, for instance, what does a human being do if he doesn't have family, doesn't have a wife or kids or anything out there, and just gets out?
Yeah.
What do? You got to rob. You got to cheat. You got to steal. I mean, you don't know what to do. You're out there. You don't know what to. Where do you go?
If you're, there should be mentorship programs, which she talks about, and which I'm sure that you probably agree with, that if you're a young man or a young woman and you have nothing but idle time, you have to have somebody that will lead you on the right path towards the right goals. Otherwise, an idle mind is a devil's workshop.
Yes, and there's a lot, and the prisons have gone through a big change over the years. And you see, back when, and I'm not saying this is a good thing, because people say, well, you see how wild they were, Joe, and then they locked them down and got control. Well, yeah, they locked them down, but but the control was not rehabilitative. Now they got them locked down and they're just warehoused, and that drives people. See, when I was in there, they were like Indians running wild. I was in the Carl Robinson in Enfield, Connecticut. And there was 1,200 inmates in the rec yard, all at one time, and we had 7 different gangs, so we're all, and, and when the riot broke out in 1994, in July of 1994, it was like that scene from Braveheart, literally. Everybody was, charging each other, and it was crazy, and that's how bad it was.
But see, Joe, everything you're saying, this is what the Republicans have fought against, having programs to address those who've been released from prison, so on and so forth.
That's
and then those
true.
people who have advocated for them and stuff are called liberals and so on and so forth. So
no, that's not true, Warren. That's not true, man. The liberals, the Democratic Party, is the worst at supplying the needed programming base that people are needed to rehabilitate. Just look at it's just terrible how they go about it. And
I'm not saying the Democrats any better, but what I'm saying, the Republicans definitely don't have an agenda to address that. Now, when you look at people that vote Democrat, people who are in the Democrat Party that work with people who were convicted and trying to get, those are the people who are pushed away, particularly by conservative politicians. It just so happened that those people that work for prison reform and advocate for rights for convicted felons when they come out of jail happen to vote Democrat. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying the Democratic Party has addressed that. I'm saying that those people that work with those issues do not see the Republican and conservative agenda being sensitive to everything you just said.
I believe wholeheartedly that the entire prison industrial complex needs to be ripped apart and started anew. I believe the system of punishing people and locking them up in concrete boxes is something from the 1800s, and in today's society it doesn't work. It doesn't rehabilitate.
There's an author named Michelle Alexander wrote a book called The New Jim Crow. She focuses on how the locking people up, disproportionately black people, produces another form of Jim Crow, because when they get out, they don't have any kind of rights. In many cases, they can't vote. So that's what look up Michelle Alexander. She wrote a book called The New Jim Crow.
Listen, when you finish your sentence, that's it. They should not have no stigma left unless you're on probation or parole. I mean, you finish your sentence, you discharge, that's it. You're free and clear. You should get a fresh start. You know? I mean,
I
you pay
agree.
your debt.
I agree.
But
you got conservative people like your buddy on the phone line, conservative people who say hell with that. I like to hear what they got to say about what you said about that.
You know what, Joe? Here's the problem with that. What they should do is rehabilitate those people that's in prison before you start letting these illegals into the country, coming in the illegal way.
Well, that's right. I agree. But that's still not going to solve our problem with the prisons, though. We still got to change the prison policy. But, yeah, you're right. We need to fix our own people first before we start letting more people in here.
So Joe, you know, I see your place. I see your place on panel discussions with many black people, with many groups that talk about this. That's where you need to be, not with no conservative people.
Well,
now he's trying to recruit you away from the conservative.
I'm just saying, Joe got a very valid. Joe got a true experience. Joe has a true real life experience, but because he didn't know who to turn to when he was released from prison, he's influenced by the wrong crowd. And what I'm saying, he needs to be up there going around to different forums. He needs to be on BET and these things, talking about that from the standpoint of a white person. That's how you make change on the ground, when we consolidate our common issues and that how we're victims of systemic things.
How's that going to bring people together if I'm not part of? If I isolate myself from the conservative group and join just the liberal group, you know?
The conservative perspective is lock them up, shoot them on sight, execute them without any trial. That's the conservative approach.
I don't think many of the people.
No, I tell you one thing though, Joe. I hired people on merit, and if I got a young student that went to school and walked straight and narrow, got good grades and so forth, well, you got to hire them. They done everything that you asked them to do. You can't be putting others in front of them, right?
That's right. I agree, 100%. You're absolutely correct. The most qualified should get the. No, you should never bend the rules in favor of anyone, one group. I mean, you know, whoever the best is for the qualified position, and that's who it should be, no matter who they are.
Joe, let me tell you something, Joe. Because I'm going to do a show on this. Do you know when you study the Ivy League school in affirmative action, you know who gets affirmative action? Legacy students. You know who legacy students are? That's those students whose daddy went to Harvard, grandfather, uncle, and they're not qualified. They just get in because of that connection. And those are overwhelmingly white students. So that's hypocrisy on the part of conservatives to talk about merit when they know good and well a whole lot of people get to where they got with no damn merit. They know that.
That does happen. Yes, it does happen, and it does happen a lot in the white community. Yes, but it does happen in the black community too. You know, and this is a problem.
When we talk about these Ivy League schools, these big tech schools or Ivy League schools, the numbers. I got the numbers. The numbers are the people who get the affirmative action are the white students who have connection at that school.
Why in the prisons, then? Why in the prisons, right? Why in the prisons does everyone? Because there's nothing there now where society's out of the question. Why does everyone identify along racial lines? Automatically.
In terms of what?
In terms of what? Anything. You sit with the whites, the Hispanics sit with the Hispanics, and the blacks sit with the blacks. And there's no mixing at all. You know?
Well, why is that? Well, see, I've never been to jail, so I can't answer that one. But I will say that because prison is people in prison are a reflection of the larger society, so they bring those things into the prison. I would assume that would be a logical conclusion with that. They bring that, and then your prison guards and your wardens, they have those attitudes, so they reinforce that type of situation that you have in the greater society within the prison walls. You know, Angola.
Well, no, not really. When they say inmate so and so, you're going to B block to live. you know, when you first enter the prison, they don't say, well, he's white, so he's going to live with a white guy. No, you know, they throw you right in with anybody. And then when you're in there, you say, hey, I want to live with John so-and-so, or I want to live with Tony so-and-so. You know, I don't want to live with this guy because I'm not going to get along with him because he's black or because he's white or whatever. They automatically do that.
Well, that's like in college at a dorm. You should be allowed to live with who you're comfortable with. I don't see nothing wrong with that. So
okay, well, why are you comfortable with
county,
why would you be? You know, why not? Who's who? Why not just judge him on the person that's you?
If you got two guys come from Bug Tussle, Mississippi, I don't see nothing wrong with them being roommates because they're gonna be familiar with each other, so on and so forth. But what I want to see is I do see every day when I travel the country or even in my city, I do see the plight of many white people, poor white people on drugs. I do see that, and it is bad.
Yeah, that's true.
Because look, let me tell you, it's bad because coming up as a black person, you know, whites always had stuff. So when we see poor whites, that's really bad. That's really bad. You know what I'm saying? We know times are bad when you see whites down and out. But you know, it's the gutting and the deindustrialization of this country, where the elite, the capitalist elite that the conservatives support, because they want to save money and want more profits and not much on wages, sent the jobs overseas and gutted these cities and these towns, gutted them.
Well, I found that that the good old boy Joe, is the thing.
I hear that government send those jobs overseas. Those were business people who seen opportunity and they took advantage of it. And you know, when my kids went to college, my last sibling he roomed with another white male, but he only had to do it the first year, which was required. But
now why did they make it required? You see, that's wrong too. Who are they to force?
No, it's required. It's required. It's required that your first year you have to stay in a dorm on campus.
Oh, okay. It doesn't have to be with
for the familiarization.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
hey Joe, did you ever see the series 6 Days In? 60 Days In?
Yeah, I've seen some of it. Yeah. I think that's a county jail, pretty much a county scene, and I think a little bit of it is picked and selected. That's nothing like the jails I was in, you know. Nothing like the jails I was in. I mean, the ones I were in were the towers of hell. I mean, that was just really bad.
Yeah.
I mean,
one of the worst prisons, one of the worst ones is supposed to be right here in my state, Angola. And Angola is notorious.
I heard of that one. I heard it. The legends are Lewisburg. Lewisburg's a legend. Lompoc, Pelican Bay, Rikers Island. Those are the legends within the system that, you know, Walpole, you know, that are really bad. You hear horror stories coming out of there, you know. And, you know, the one I was in, Northern, that was a bad one, you know, Death Row was right, you know, right adjacent to my cell block. So, you know, they had Michael Ross, a serial killer. A couple of them, they executed him, actually, when I was in there. So, Michael Ross, serial killer.
Now, where was Whitey Bulger? Where was Whitey Bulger?
Oh, he was up in, where did he go again? I think he went to Rikers. I'm not sure. Where did he went someplace, but they killed him. Yeah.
Did they murder him in the prison? He got killed, eh?
Yeah, they killed him, yeah.
I thought he was in Connecticut. I thought he was in Connecticut or something.
No, he's Boston. He's from Boston, Whitey Bulger. I heard of him on the streets. I remember the Columbos and everybody, and that was the Irish Mafia connection up there. Hell's Kitchen, all that crap. So, you know, but that's a real thing, though. I mean, it was serious. I mean, my dealings with the Columbos, I remember dealing with them and all with Joe Colombo. He was, you know, notorious in his name. Nicky Scarfo, oh boy, I remember Joe Pistone when he infiltrated the I think it was the
I watched Donnie Brasco last night again.
Did you? Oh yeah, Joe Pistone, Yeah. That's not really how it went down, though, Joe. That's not the true story of really how went down, from what I understand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really made up. Sonny Black and Lefty Two Guns. Yeah, he was a real character, Lefty, and they killed Sonny Black. Actually, they chopped his hands off and buried him in a park. You know, Sonny Black. Yeah, and Carmine Galante and all that. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Now I tell you, the mafia boss we had here was Carlos Marcellus. Now, Carlos Marcellus was supposed to be one of the guys that allegedly plotted the assassination of JFK. I have a sister. Carlos Marcellus. Yeah, because he was the mafia boss in New Orleans, and so he supposedly was one of the guys to have sat down with some of the other family heads to plot the assassination of
I heard Hoffa had a lot to do with that. Hoffa, the labor unions, and stuff like that. I mean, still to this day, they don't know where Hoffa is, you know?
Well, that movie, The Irishman, goes into that because that guy, Sherahan claims, according to the movie, was based off the book, he claimed he was the one that popped Hoffa, killed Jimmy Hoffa. You seen the movie The Irishman on Netflix?
No, I heard of it. That
movie 3 hours. That's a damn good movie. That movie 3 hours. That's a good movie.
Really?
It's based off this guy named Sherahan. Sherahan was he was friends with this mafia family, and then he got close to Jimmy Hoffa, and he was over a local. But eventually, he was the one chosen to take out. Now, he supposedly confessed this to a journalist when he was in a home before his death. So a book was written about that. So the movie is based off the book. Yeah.
I remember always hearing about the guys on the streets. I remember because Pablo Escobar was the downing of him in the early '90s, and that George Young that used to fly for him, and what the hell is that other guy that infiltrated that they killed? Man, I forgot the hell is his name. The CIA agent. Oh Lord, I forgot his name. Oh man, he played in that movie American Me with Tom Cruise. A CIA guy. They killed him. He was flying the cocaine into the country for the government, for Noriega and everything. Oh Lord, I forgot his name, man.
Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage.
No, Nicolas Cage is an actor, but I forgot the guy. What the heck was his name, man?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the real guy. He was a CIA agent, Joe. I forgot his name, man.
I'm gonna find out now. Let me see something.
He was, but that Norman Cage was a real island. I remember they were talking about that the ATF and the DEA and everything. I just remember conversations about it, and stuff like that. Do you know anything about this guy, that guy, and they, names would come up, when you hear stuff. I remember 3 murder attempts I stopped. I remember Frankie Estrada and that crew and Barry Seal. That's his name, Barry Seal. Remember Barry Seal? Barry Seal. Yep, Barry Seal, American Made. That was the movie. That's a good movie right there. He was worked for Pablo Escobar and Carlos Delgado and George Young was involved in that. George Young, he died recently. Actually, he finally got out of jail. And that movie Blow. Remember that movie, Joe? Remember that movie Blow with Johnny Depp?
I didn't see it. No.
You didn't see that? You never saw that one? That was Johnny Depp.
Nope.
But Johnny Depp, the movie Blow, that was a good movie. But how about everybody saw Goodfellas? Everyone knows that one. That was the Nicky that.
Goodfellas was really good. Goodfellas was really good.
Yeah. Henry Hill. Yeah, he was.
Henry Hill.
2004.
Yeah. And how they clipped Joe Pesci in the movie? They got him to think that he was going to be a made man. And then all of a sudden he walks in, he realizes there's nobody there. He goes, "Oh no!" Then they go,
Now back in '86, I was actually visiting one of my aunts live in New York back around Christmas of '86, and I was there when the Paul Castellano got killed. I think he got killed in New York, if I'm not mistaken.
He was.
Yeah, he was at the steakhouse. Yeah.
I was there visiting my aunt. Yeah.
It was such a vacuum of power, all the money and everything that was flying around back then, and there was such a vacuum of power at that time. It was insane. I mean, you felt it all around, but the real biggest one was the guy that was doing the gas station stings or whatever. He was burning the gas to tax. Oh, I forgot his name. He was a mafia guy. He's still around to this day, actually. He turned in state's witnesses. He testified, but he did the gas tax, made over close to $1 billion. I know it, and I know that's where he still got money. But it was a scam with the gas pumps, the gas distributors, and they would scam. They were scamming the gas tax and everything, and it was a really good, lucrative scam. It was all legal too. What's that?
But I want to go to a point that was made when American businesses, like what happened to this country, send the jobs overseas and have gotten tax breaks from the government. They shouldn't be allowed to do that if they were given special perks and tax breaks by the government because they want to cut overhead through salaries and pay cheap labor. They shouldn't.
Well, why? You're free to run your business anywhere you want. I mean, if you want to pack your bags and move.
Yeah, but you should pay the government back for the breaks that you receive for operating your business. If you're going to contribute to the unemployment in the country, that's not patriotic. That's not a patriot.
Well, nobody says you have to be patriotic in America now. There's no law.
I mean, come on. Is that what the complaint is by conservatives? Nobody loves America anymore?
Well,
anybody who lays off from work is unpatriotic.
I know. Come on.
If you are a corporation, in fact, I was reading. What's the name of this defense contractor that Lloyd Austin comes from? What's the name of the defense contractor Lloyd Austin? What board Lloyd Austin set on defense contractor? This company that Lloyd Austin sat on the board they make weapons. They made a statement that Raytheon, that's right. They made a statement that there's no way the U.S. could decouple from China because all they damn distributors and everything is all in China.
Well,
that's what a major U.S. Weapons manufacturing has said why the U.S. can't decouple from China.
All you got to do is read the book War is a Racket. Almost all wars are done as a result of making the rich richer, the greedy, the psychopathic people.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Before any U.S. company like a Boeing or a Raytheon can sell to an adversary, they have to get permission. They just don't up and do it themselves. But I know several businesses that had no ties with the government, went over and started manufacturing in China.
Well, let's talk about China. The most popular theories of consciousness. Hang on, here we go. We have China's into this now. They just made a deal. They're making deals with Africa, the belt symbol and everything. This is what I was just reading that earlier.
Belt and Road Initiative.
Yes. China develops unique cooperation model with Africa, and they got it's strategic. China's economy can no longer be sustained by low-end manufacturing exports. Beijing is seeking to increase its overseas sales of railway equipment and infrastructure by funding and encouraging rail projects worldwide. China hopes to stimulate global markets. Beijing's investment in Latin America is part of this plan. China is diversifying its trade routes, especially in the near abroad, through with what is known as the Belt and Road Initiative. Yeah, so it's just China, and you're talking about capitalism now. This is what China's trying to do, and what they're going to do is they're invading countries of Africa.
But Joe, look at the beauty of this. They're not going around giving other people weapons to instigate fights like the United States is doing.
And why do you think they're going over there?
They're actually investing in building things in countries. That is peace.
Just for the betterment, right?
Pardon?
Except that, from what I understand, in Africa, the only laborers that can labor in a Chinese-funded or Chinese infrastructure are Chinese people, not the indigenous people.
I have seen with my own eyes what Chinese have and are doing on the African continent. I've seen the bridges.
Yeah, I know what they're doing.
I've seen the
DNA
buildings.
and scientific
I've seen the
experiments to the people over there.
I've seen that. I've seen that, and the African people are grateful for that type of cooperation as opposed to the U.S., Western Europe with the IMF and the Monetary Fund that puts them in debt and tells them they can't grow food for themselves. They can't be food independent. That's their told. They're literally told that kind of stuff in order to get those loans. The U.S. wants countries dependent on it. You can't grow food for yourself. You can't grow
the
enough
model is the economic hitman.
If anybody amongst the four of us wanted to go over and start farming, they could do it in those countries.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I'm America, pro-America. I believe in the republic. I believe in freedom. You know, and I believe friends with all, alliances with none, like George Washington said. But with the foreign policy, and look, with the Federal Reserve, too, I'm against the Federal Reserve. Technically, I think it's a dishonest practicing of money and lending. And it's dishonest. It's wrong. It's thievery. It's theft. But when you got an entire planet and its world's population reliant upon it, it's kind of hard to break away from that system without systematically doing it without pain. You know, the pain will be devastating for generations for us to fix the problem. We got into this mess for over many, many years of problematic making and meddling in other people's affairs. It's just not going to be fixed overnight. You know, it has to be an approach by the masses of the people, all agreeing morally on a moral foundation and structure that's going to work for the betterment of our people in America. And I just don't see that happening. I'm going to fight for it, but I just don't think it's going to happen.
Look what Greg Hayes. Greg Hayes is the chief executive of Raytheon, and this is what he said. The company has several thousand suppliers in China, and decoupling is impossible. Quote, we can de-risk but not decouple, adding that he believes this to be the case for everybody. So this idea that the United States is going to break ties with China and trying to get European countries, which European countries are pushing back against the U.S. France is one of them. Germany is another. And they're saying, look, wait a minute. You done already screwed us with Russia now. You done got us to cut with Russia now, but we ain't going to do it with China.
What are they going to do? Germany and France ain't nothing. Their populations don't create nothing. They're a tiny little country, European country that still needs to lick our boots.
Germany was the industrial powerhouse of Europe. And now Germany's industries and stuff is closing because it can't import oil from Russia, its neighbor, which is cheap, and have to try to import liquid natural gas from the United States, which is going to be way more expensive. So you actually have some German companies or manufacturers are closing.
Israel has just discovered lots of natural gas.
United States manufacturing could get everything they want from the United States and nothing from China if they wanted to.
The financial sector, the financial
projects and
the financial capitalists don't want to invest in the machinery and the construction.
I used to do projects for Anheuser-Busch, and it was in their specification that everything that went into that project, from screws, bolts, nuts, beams, steel, tanks, had to be made in the United States. And they were.
Well, before we cut it off here tonight, Joe, you want to give an intro here to tomorrow night's show for me?
Sure. All right. For those listening, and hopefully it'll spread around the BTR universe, tomorrow's show is going to be Joe Gibson's show, Restoring Your Republic, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, going through live till 9 p.m., and then after that will be an archive hour or two. And it'll be about getting the Blog Talk radio hosts together so that perhaps, hopefully, that we can form a group that will have some kind of clout so that we can do something to restore the Republic, so that we can do something for the United States citizens to let people know that they are in the matrix and to provide solutions so that they can get out of the matrix and realize that the people who, both conservatives and liberals, are brainwashing them, are lying to them. So this is going to be my first real effort It was Joe Gibson's idea because he talked about it. Well, a lot of people said it, but Joe Gibson had said it about 3 different times, 2 or 3 weeks in a row. So we're getting together, and that includes Warren, to talk about ideas that can help us defeat the corruption that both liberals and conservatives, the scumbags in Congress, the scumbags as mayors, and the scumbags as governors, hopefully we can defeat them.
Yeah. And it's not about defeating, changing the way we are today, and because we're defeating ourselves. The power lies within us. I mean, we are the voice, we are the people, and nobody can control us. We have a great system here that we can choose to use the right way without lying, cheating, and stealing, and hurting our neighbors, and in the process of doing that, of I guess, gaining success. Everyone wants to reach success and freedom and pursue their life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, right? But you have to do it responsibly, and you have to be accountable for your actions. Today, the government's not accountable to anybody, not even to themselves, and it's got to stop. It's just got to stop. What do you think, Bianca? Closing thoughts here, or anybody here? We got a few minutes left here. We can close out here. We don't have to close out right away, but start getting ready to wrap it up. Closing thoughts.
I gave my biggest contribution to the effort when I offered $100 toward the copper. So I didn't get it. I didn't. No one took me up on that. So I don't know what to say.
You can donate to my cake. You can donate to my campaign. There you go. Donate to my campaign. I need to get that up and running, man. It's going to cost money for advertising. Yep. I mean, it's got to get the word out. I mean, this guy's got $81,000 in his war chest. The guy I'm running against. You know what I got?
You know what? I was on a show earlier today before I came on here, and they've got donors. It was a show about. It's called Inner Sight Freedom. It's about transforming what is it? Nursing homes into self-care activities. I forget exactly how they term it. And this guy, I didn't know it until today. He has like 5 or 6 different sponsors. So I asked him, "How did you get them?" And he said, well, he met a few of them, and he has a list, and he called them up, and he talked to them. So that's what that might be something that we could aim for. Get sponsors. Remember, my original thought was this should be easy. Every talk show host who joins up should go back to their original guests, the guests that they've had on the show, potential candidates, etc., and ask them to join the coalition, and ask them if they don't want to join, at least endorse the coalition, and expand the membership that way until we get some clout.
I like to give my closing remarks.
Yeah, you're right, Joe. And I appreciate the things you've been doing, Joe. And I know you've been out there talking about my show and everything about since we met. And I do appreciate that. I've tuned into podcast shows, and there you are talking about my show. So, I appreciate that, and I would hope everybody else would do that too, because look, it's not just about me, but I am running for public office down here, so I do need the support. I need that verbal recognition.
Uh-huh.
And I'm always willing to listen to what the people have to offer and say how they want change also. We can't take everybody's idea and implement it.
Yeah. I'd like to give my closing remarks before I leave here. The country is in very, very bad shape. You have a former president indicted. You got a current president who's probably in dementia. We don't know really who's calling the shots. He has a scandal with his son that's bubbling. And you have a situation where the United States and whoever's calling the shots is trying to prove it could beat Russia. It's on the verge of trying to have a hot war with Russia. We're on the verge. We're closest to nuclear war that we have ever been. And the United States is trying to prove it's still on top of the world when all the evidence shows that's not true. It's dangerous times we live in. Ukraine will not take back the areas that Russia took. The counteroffensive has failed. The people in Washington are very desperate. Lindsey Graham is running around with another congressperson trying to get a resolution passed in the Senate that says if there's any type of nuclear fallout from a power plant in Russia, because it shows you what they're planning, that should be reason to activate Article 5 with NATO. Now, is this just threats? I don't know. But I know one thing. Russia ain't going to lose this. Russia has the best fighting force in Europe. They have over 500,000 men. At least right now they're fighting with 200,000 and another 400,000 on standby. The United States is not ready, nor NATO ready to have a combat with Russia. This is bad. We in bad shape. And remember Vietnam? Remember when Lyndon Johnson kept saying, we will win this war, and how they kept expanding and how bad it kept getting? The anti-war left has pretty much been eliminated. They don't want no anti-war left existing after the Vietnam thing. And there's no calm heads talking. No congressperson, nobody wants to go on the record to advocate for peace. It is frightening. And I'm going to say this again. When I was coming up, I can remember the discussion about what to do if there's a nuclear bomb dropped and all that. Nobody's saying anything to anybody. Okay? The idiots in Washington are so crazy, they think they could take on Russia and China at the same time after the people in Afghanistan ran the U.S. out. And we have to come to our senses. So this country is in a big mess. It is ugly what's going on. The corruption is blatant in the face. The billionaires that are courting the Supreme Court justices, the conservative ones like Clarence Thomas and the other cat, all this corruption that we are told happens in third world countries, Latin American countries and all that. We told corruption, and it's all in our face, blatant in our face, blatant. And nobody, no politicians don't even say what they're going to do to fix the ills of the country. They don't even give you a solution anymore. So they give us little cultural wars to fight with each other. Critical race theory, going in the library looking for books to take off. It's insane, you see. And so we're in bad shape. We're on the cusp of nuclear war. Let me say this again. There are no winners in the nuclear confrontation. There are no winners. Either half of the earth going to be destroyed or the whole earth going to be destroyed. If we thought COVID was bad, where we had to lock down and put masks on, imagine what's going to happen when you got nuclear fallout. There ain't going to be no mask to take. There ain't going to be no vaccinations. We're going to be a slow, painful death. And everybody, no matter Republican or Democrat, at least we want to say we want to be here to fight each other as conservative, leftists, and liberals. We should be saying that. So everybody ought to be saying, stop this crap. We're trying to defeat Russia. But that's the mindset. That's the mindset that this country has been about, this American exceptionalism bull crap. And we're supposed to be on top. We're superior. Nobody can outdo us. China, how dare you develop yourself, China? How dare you eliminate extreme poverty? How dare you have a scientific, engineering, and medical class? How dare you do all that? That's the attitude.
All right there, Mr. Warren. All right, who's next here? Who's anybody? Everybody else? Everybody go. Bianca, you went, right? I think Bianca went. Joe went. He had his say. Well, let me have my say real quick. Appreciate you guys listening and participating in the podcast. Everybody that participated in the podcast tonight, I appreciate it. As far as what Mr. Warren there said, look, I don't disagree too much with what you say, but look, ever since I was born, I know Russia has been our enemy, the opposite of everything we've done. And we've always had, war on our back burner with Russia. Our military has always been trained to take on Russia. Our weapons have been designed to wipe out Russia. And as far as the United States on the downfall, probably could be on the downfall, but we got a long ways to go before we get anywhere near to the levels of China and Russia. We are the most powerful military machine in the planet has ever known or seen.
Joe,
we even have a space force.
Hang on. Wait, let me tell you, Joe. Do you know the weapons that Ukraine is using are the weapons from the United States, and Russia is destroying those damn weapons.
No, they're not. Ukraine has not received all.
They tearing up the Bradley tank. They destroyed the Patriot missile system. Russia has hypersonic. The United States don't even have that.
Big deal. We've got our Raptors, our jets. Those in the Air Force, those Raptors alone are so sophisticated with technology.
Joe, do you know behind the closed doors, the U.S. generals are saying this shit don't make no sense? Do you know that's what the generals are quietly rebelling?
That's what you hear and see. Let me explain something to you. We had Operation Bluebeam. We had the HARP towers. We have so much technology that you would not believe. We can create an earthquake over in China right now if we wanted to, okay? There are things that we can do from outer space with our satellites that would blow your mind. Trust me, the technology that we have in this country is so sophisticated and powerful.
Why is it not working for the Ukrainians?
We're not involved in a war with Ukraine. We're playing games.
They are U.S. military personnel on the ground instructing those Ukrainians how to use that military hardware. They are there.
Okay. Well, we're not giving them the HARP towers. We're not giving the weapons
are NATO weapons. Russia is actually in war.
What, you think the United States disclosed to NATO what we have? Do you think the world knows what we have? You think we'd be foolish enough to do that?
If the United States thought it could defeat Russia, it would have been dealt with. You got run out of Afghanistan.
Our Navy.
You got run out of Afghanistan.
Our Navy. You're not listening. The destroyers, the Navy that we have,
you don't have
a clue. The submarines we have. You're not listening. The satellite. Listen, you're not listening. You don't understand.
Russia has all of that too, sir. Russia has all of that. Do you know the United States? Do you know the United States couldn't even manufacture the weaponry that Russia could do 24/7 doing right now?
You're not paying attention. Listen, no. Russia doesn't have anything compared to what the United States has. Nothing compared
all right.
to what the United States has.
I bet you Russia ain't gonna let that territory they got up. I bet you they ain't giving that up.
If we put our military on the ground, listen to me 1 second. Listen. When we put our boots on the ground in Desert Storm, look what we did over there in Iraq. Now, compare that to Ukraine and Russia.
Russia is not Iraq. Joe, Russia is a peer competitor. It's a nuclear power. What are you talking about?
I'm talking about Iraq when we went in Iraq.
Russia is not
Iraq. Ukraine.
Russia is not Iraq.
Iraq had the 5th largest military in the world. What are you talking about? Iraq had the 5th largest military in the world.
Russia is a nuclear power, sir.
So what? What
you mean?
They would never get those.
They have nuclear warheads that can hit San Francisco.
And guess what? As soon as the guy turned the key, we'd shut the off switch. Click, and they wouldn't know what hit them, okay? Don't you think we listen? Everything's been thought of. There's going to be no nuclear war with the United States. I assure you of that. Okay? You think Israel's got an Iron Dome? You haven't seen our SDI. We can shoot half their... Listen, you're not listening to me. You don't understand. We can shoot more than 80% of what they have out of the solar system before it even got up into trajectory lanes to go towards us. Okay?
Joe, the U.S., at this point, the U.S. has lost in Ukraine.
What are you talking about? You keep bringing up the United States like we're some weak third world country. We have the most powerful military 10 times over than any other country in the world.
Okay.
And China's 10 to 20 years behind us in military capabilities and technological.
Okay.
The only thing they have as close is a Navy, and that's because their fleet and the size of their fleet. But the technological aspects of their destroyers and their aircraft carriers compared to us, no way, man. It does not hold water. I'm telling you right now. I've spoken to people in the Navy.
You're not speaking with any how should I say, rationale.
Neither are you. You're dealing in scenarios that are not going to play out.
let me ask you a question. Who wins in the nuclear confrontation? Who are the winners?
What kind of question is that? We've never had a nuclear war, so how can we even go?
We never had a nuclear war. So, but because of what we know about nuclear weapons and warheads and what they carry,
we wouldn't do it. We wouldn't do it. There would not be a nuclear war because it would wipe out half the planet. It would wipe out more than half the planet. It would wipe out probably 98% of the planet.
So you think? Hold up. So you think Russia gonna let the U.S. take their territory without them using their nukes?
Do you think Russia would even? Do you think the United States would give them an opportunity to even launch their nukes?
The only time they have said they have a statement, and the U.S. has a statement too when they use their nukes. They have some sort of principles and protocols. But the point is, when the nukes, here's what the point: when the nukes fly,
you're not listening. You're not listening at all. If Russia, let's just say Russia wants to launch a nuclear strike against the United States. Let's just say it's been provoked and they're going to launch it. Before the words even come out of Putin's mouth or the people that are authorizing the people to launch those missiles, we already know about it. Okay? That's how sophisticated our technology is. All right?
Okay. What does that mean? What does that mean, Joe? What does that mean?
It means we would shut it down before it even happened.
How you gonna stop the missiles from landing in the U.S.? How you gonna stop that?
They won't even come out of the. They won't even come out.
All right.
I don't even understand what you're talking about. What do you mean? You really think Russia could launch a nuclear missile and it would land over here in the United States? You really think we would let that happen?
Why wouldn't I believe? On what basis would I not believe that? On what basis would I not believe that?
Well, I mean, if you look we're seeing
what they're doing to U.S. military hardware in Ukraine.
No, you're not.
Yes, we are. They're destroying the Patriot.
What did they destroy in Ukraine? What did they destroy?
They're destroying 30 to 40% of the weaponry that the U.S. gives Ukraine.
And what weapons are that? What weapons did they destroy?
The Bradley tanks, the Patriot missile
Bradley
system.
Tank? We have U.S. Abrams tanks. What are you talking about?
Systems? What?
The Patriot missile systems. What are you talking about?
The Patriot. You're not familiar with the Patriot missile system? That's supposed to intercept missiles?
What are you talking about? What did they destroy?
They destroyed the hardware that the U.S. is sending the Ukrainians.
That's not a question. That's not an answer. What did they destroy? What's hardware? What did they destroy?
I'm telling you the different things such as the tanks, the various type of missiles.
What tanks did they destroy, Warren?
Bradley tanks. Bradley tanks.
There's no such thing as a Bradley tank. We don't have a Bradley tank. What are you talking about?
Okay. All right. Okay.
We have a U.S. Abrams tank. That's what we have. We have a U.S. Abrams tank.
The hardware that the U.S. and other NATO countries send to Ukraine are being destroyed.
What hardware are you talking about, though? What are you talking about?
The weapons.
What weapons? Rocks? Sticks? What are you talking about?
Okay. So, Joe, let me ask you a question.
What are you talking about?
Hold on. So, Joe, you don't keep up with what's going on in Ukraine, right?
Again, you're not answering my question.
I'm asking you a question.
Have you seen destroyed?
No need.
You say hardware.
Do you keep up?
What is that?
Hold up. Do you keep up with what's going on in Ukraine or not?
Yeah. Yeah, I keep up. Not, but not like I glued to the ground.
What are your standpoint? How are the Ukrainians doing against the Russians from your information?
How are the Ukrainians? They're actually doing quite well, against the Russians, actually.
Okay, all right.
And you don't think they are?
I know they're not.
You've got. Wait a second. Let's analyze what you just said earlier. No, hang on. Well, come on now. This isn't a one-sided conversation. You see this superpower, Russia, this great, mighty superpower you're talking about. How long have they been at war with Ukraine now?
Russia hadn't even unleashed its full force, my brother. They haven't even unleashed their full force.
No. What are you talking about? Wait a second here.
They haven't unleashed their full force, sir. Russia hasn't unleashed. Okay, let me ask you this. What do you think the end result going to be of this then? What do you think the end result going to be?
Of what? Of what?
The Ukraine-Russia war. What do you think the end result going to be?
I don't know. I don't have a magical crystal ball.
I'll tell you what it's going to be. Either the U.S. and NATO. The result going to be two things. Either the U.S. and NATO is going to have to come to some sort of agreement with Russia, look, either the U.S. or NATO is going to come to some sort of agreement with Russia, or they're going to try to go face-to-face with Russia, and it's going to get to a nuclear war. That's what's going to happen.
Really? Nuclear war?
Really. That's right.
And who's the nuclear war between?
That's right.
Who's shooting missiles at each other, Warren?
The United States. Lindsey Graham. Hold on, wait a minute, sir. Let me tell you. The other day, Lindsey Graham and another senator, I can't think of his name, called the press conference.
I guess they run the country, right?
And the press conference was to introduce a resolution to the Senate to vote on that says that, and this is how you know they're not winning against Russia. This is how you know they're not winning against Russia. And the resolution says that if Russia, this was Lindsey Graham speaking, if Russia bombs the power plant in this city, I can't pronounce the name, and there's some nuclear fallout from the explosion of the power plant, then Article 5 of NATO should be activated. See, this is how you know they're not winning against Russia.
Time out. You said if Russia bombs Ukraine?
Let me find the exact wording right here with Lindsey Graham. So I'll be
because last I checked, Ukraine does not have any nuclear weapons.
No, they have a nuclear power plant.
Oh, the power plant. Okay, the power plant. That doesn't work. Okay, all right, okay. So if Russia bombs that power plant, then what happens? The United States is going to launch nuclear weapons?
The resolution Lindsey Graham wants to introduce to be voted on,
by the way,
was that if the power plant is bombed, now Russia will not bomb the power plant. See, that's what they want to do.
Right.
And that, as a result of bombing the power plant, you'll have nuclear fallout. Then that should be grounds. That's just what Lindsey Graham wants. That should be grounds to activate Article 5 of NATO, which requires the U.S. and NATO countries to get involved.
Ukraine is not a NATO country. Ukraine is not a NATO country.
You're not listening. You're not listening to what I'm saying. I'm telling you what Lindsey Graham wants.
Okay, well,
this is what Lindsey Graham and the other hawks are looking. Lindsey Graham and other hawks are looking for a reason to get involved.
They don't shape foreign policy. They don't structure foreign policy, Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham is on the committee. Lindsey Graham is on the committee.
Okay, so what? They don't structure foreign policy or if we're going to go to war. Imagine that. If that would be the case, Ocasio-Cortez would have us on the moon. Come on, what are you talking about?
Yeah, the only thing I agree about in this discussion is that if we're supposed to have MAD, mutually assured destruction, but as long if one missile from the United States or Russia leaves the silo, then it's all over. I just think the whole world will be.
I'm telling Joe that. Joe don't believe that. Joe coming up with some magical scenario. We gonna know about it and all this kind of stuff.
Well, we'll know about it, but I don't think that. I think with the ICBMs, that can reach both countries. I think if only one or two, gets through our defenses, that's probably all it'll take.
No,
but I don't know that much about nuclear defense. It would? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, you're talking. Yeah, if one or two nuclear warheads hit the United States, it wouldn't wipe us out. It wouldn't wipe out the entire country. I mean, look. Sir,
Russia has thousands. In fact, Russia has more nuclear warheads than the United States.
No, they don't have thousands. They have 1,500 that are capable of striking the United States, roughly. Okay? So, and that's if they all launch successfully, too, by the way. All right? So the 1,500 there.
Yeah, but you don't understand. When you have any of these bombs hit anywhere in the U.S., that's a large swath of people killed. And then that nuclear fallout spreads. That nuclear fallout spreads.
No. Do you realize that they have? What you got? You think one nuclear bomb goes? They do nuclear testing in Arizona, for God's sake. They test these things. Come on.
Let me read this. Let me read this to you. This is from the American Scientist. Russia, which inherited the Soviet Union's nuclear weapons, has the world's biggest stockpile of nuclear warheads. Putin controls about 5,900. Let me finish. Putin controls about 5,977 such warheads as of 2022, compared with 5,428 controlled by the United States President Joe Biden, according to the Federation of American Scientists.
Yeah, a bunch of knuckleheads, okay? The warheads, okay? There's a big difference between a nuclear missile that is fully built and capable of launching and striking a target.
I can't believe you want to run for Congress. That's really frightening. That's even more frightening than Joe Biden being the president.
You don't know what a tank is. He's called it a Bradley tank. I never even heard of a Bradley tank. What is that?
Bradley Fighting Vehicles, BFVs. Those are American Armored Fighting Vehicles. Okay? They're developed by the FMC Corporation.
You know what a Bradley Fighting Vehicle is?
Oh.
You know what a Bradley Fighting Vehicle is? It's not a tank. Okay?
Okay. All right. Okay.
It's not.
Okay. It's But anyway,
it's not When you talk these things, you can't be vague. You have to be accurate with your information. We can't be spewing all kinds of nonsense out there. China's got nuclear weapons. Korea's got nuclear weapons. No, they don't. Okay.
All right.
France has about 40 to 50 warheads.
I'm gonna say this. This is my bet. Well, this is my bet. I bet my life. Russia ain't giving up the annexed territories. They ain't giving up Crimea, which they had since 2014, and they're going to take Odessa. They're going in and take Odessa, and the U.S. can't do a motherfucking thing about it.
The United States,
I'm telling you,
it's not our job to do anything about it, is it?
Well, why are you giving weapons to Ukraine then? Why are you putting billions of dollars in Ukraine?
We always do that. Come on, we always do that. We always supply our adversaries and allies. That's always been going on. That's the falters of our foreign policy.
So you don't care. So that's okay with you then. That's just okay with you then.
I just told you it's not okay with me, but that's what they've been doing. That's what they do. I mean, come on. And Russia supplies Iraq. Iraq supplies Russia. And China supplies Russia. And Russia supplies China. That's been going on for decades and since the beginning. So what?
As I started out my closing remarks, the United States no longer is the single most powerful on the planet.
I know. And I don't know where you get that information from. You're making a prediction, and that's not a fact. That's not reality of what we are today.
Look at how the majority of the world is moving. Look at the direction the majority of the world is moving into.
I don't care if they're moving sideways. I don't care. They're not number one in the world.
The U.S. is no longer number one, sir. The U.S. don't even have the manufacturing base.
Wait a second here. Now you're saying they're not number one.
When you don't make things, sir, nobody cares about you when you don't make things. People go to the country where they make things.
They do? Then why is everybody trying to come over here?
Yes, they do.
Why?
I'm talking about when you look at the development of the countries. See, let me give you an example. Honduras, for example. Honduras, a lot of Hondurans are crossing the border. But the country of Honduras recently recognized China and not Taiwan, and has gone. And the president of Honduras has gone to China.
Then why don't they go over there to China and not come over here? Why don't they go to China and not come to the United States?
To China. And the headline of this particular thing, and it wasn't because I wanted to interfere in the argument, It's on the front page of my browser's page about the Insider website. It says here 3 major companies trying to move supply chains out of China, and how they're faring in their attempts to move away from the factory of the world. And it says here China's been the factory of the world for over 4 decades, but now companies are now reassessing the reliance on the country. Apple, chip giant TSMC, and Mazda are diversifying the supply chains out of China. So, China is a very good economic threat, but at the same time, people are now thinking about, it says here, China's been the world's factory for 40 years, but the tides are changing. China's era of globalization, integrated supply chain, started to crumble around 2018. I don't know much about
what you're reading, Joe, let me tell you. Let me tell you what's going on.
Can he finish his point, Warren? Warren, can he finish his point, please? Can he finish his point? Go ahead, Joe, please.
No, that's a whole big article. Let me see. They're just talking about how they're shifting the supply chains out of China. So
let me explain that, Joe. What you reading?
Let me see.
Joe, what you reading is a coordinated information war against China. What you look at these world leaders and where they're going. When Biden gave a State of the Union address.
Yeah, but how do you know that the information that you read isn't a coordinate propaganda for you?
Let me finish. Well, let me finish. Just let me finish, Joe. Because I'm tired of this going back and forth with you guys because you all believe what you want to believe.
Because you're not saying you're not quoting your facts.
When Joe Biden stood up in the Congress and gave the State of the Union address, he started talking about Xi Jinping. He started screaming. And do you know why he was doing that? Do you know all the world leaders that was flying to China to meet him? Do you know the European leaders they're kissing his ass? They got everybody in the world is kissing Xi Jinping's ass because they know China is where it is. What you all are reading, see the corporate media like we talk about, all of them are anti-China. So they're giving you everything China's bad, everything. They're giving you these narratives.
Well, how about this? But if you're talking about opinions, that's written on the on a web page, even though it may be provided by a so-called newspaper. But it says here Apple has already moved some of its iPhone production to India, and is exploring moving its iPad manufacturing there.
Those are U.S. companies. Yeah. Let me tell you what's going on. The U.S. is trying to use India as some sort of new manufacturing base. Those are American companies that they're trying to move out in an attempt to what you call strangle or isolate China. It's not working. Okay.
Well, how do you know
working.
that, though? I mean,
I know that. I know that because I'm looking at all of the countries that China is cutting deals with. They're going to China every day. All these heads of state, they're running to China.
Well, if the heads of state are going to China,
you got Macron,
because China is an economic power. That's good and it's true, but at the same time, you're talking about and you're making it seem as though China is always going to be on the rise, and I don't know if it will or not. I'm just talking about what I just read right now about some of the American companies moving out of China. So that has to give people room for thought.
The U.S. is putting pressure. Yes. The U.S. is putting pressure on some of their companies to get out, but that's just the U.S. That's not the world. So that's not the world.
They're not putting pressure on. They are moving out. They are moving out. Okay? They're not putting pressure. They are moving out. Okay? But you're making it sound like China's number one. That's it. The United States is done. They're over.
Let me say this. You guys can live in denial if you want to. You're in some kind of delusion. But the world has passed you all up. The world has passed you all up.
No, let's talk about reality. Let's talk about reality. America today.
You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to.
How is America today?
You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to. You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to. You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to. You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to. You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to. You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to. You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to. You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to. You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to. You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to. You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to. You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to. You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to. You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to. You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to. You can live in this American capitalist dream if you want to. You can live in this American capitalist dre
No,
okay,
how is
you
America
can live in that
today,
spot
Warren?
if you want to.
No, today. How is America today, right now? And how is it going to be tomorrow?
America,
We're number one.
America is in inflation right now, and you have high prices for everything.
I'm not asking you that, Warren. I'm not asking you that. I said, how is America ranked right now, and how will it be tomorrow morning when you wake up? We are number one.
But the production, the share of the world economy is shrinking slowly. Okay.
Okay. So what? Now, again, today and tomorrow.
What you mean, so
all right? Because right now, you're saying we're not. You just made a big closing. How America's done, we're over, we're crushed, and we're done, and that's it.
You're in what is called. You are in. You see that collaboration of countries: BRICS, Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. That's where all the countries fly. Even France trying to apply. France trying to apply for a million. The G7 is gone. The G20 is over with. It's passé.
Yep. And nobody.
Okay, but
Americans.
What's the point of this argument, though?
I know. What is
the point? The point of the argument is that you have to deal with what's real on the ground. You all are in some sort of denial. You all are in some sort of fantasy world. You're in some sort of make-believe existence.
What's real on the ground right now?
I'm not even taking sides. I just want to know what the point is of the argument. If you're going to say that China's on the rise, I'll say okay, and then what? And if Joe says we're number one in the world, I'll say okay.
The question is, if China is investing in its own country in building, why can't the United States do the same thing?
Well,
why is American infrastructure dilapidated, crumbling like these bridges?
Trump was trying to do it, but you had the Democrats who said, and Joe Biden was proud of it. The first 30 days when he was in office.
That's where you lost. That's where you lost.
What did he do? He signed an executive order. He signed an executive order to release to stop the pipeline that was going on there in Alaska because it was supposedly against climate, a climate change issue. So we had a growing independent economy again with Trump in charge. But when he got the election stolen from him, what happened? You even said that the doddering, well, not your exact words was the idiot in the office. That's what he's doing. Take a look at what's happening now under Biden. Our economy is shrinking, but it wasn't shrinking under Trump, and he was a Republican.
Yep. So why would you not be in support of Trump, Warren, or his policies? Why would you not support that?
Trump was also part of the deep state. Trump was an imperialist. Trump bragged about how he left American troops in Syria to take the oil. He talked about plans to invade Venezuela to take the oil. It's in his interview. He said it himself.
What are you talking about, Warren? What's that got to do with today? Why wouldn't you support Trump's policies that were made America better, stronger, and more worthy of everything, and better for you and me?
That's where you guys will always realize that you've been suckers and you don't want to accept it.
Oh, my Lord. Was there any times any good in America? Was any policy any good at all ever? Was any American president done any good for us in America? I mean, what do you want to see America do? What's your objective here? I don't get it. What's the point? You hate America. You're going to backlight. You're going to talk down about it and ridicule it and be negative about it. Why? You live here. This is your country. You were born here. I mean, do you not like America, and do you want to leave? Do you want to try to destroy it from within? Is that your goal?
How you define hate America? Because I don't want to follow your talking points, your script. How do you define hate America? If you live in the country and you wanted to do better, you become critical of it, like you guys are critical of it all day on your programs. Somebody can ask you all the same thing. Why you hate this country so much?
I don't hate this country. I love my country. What are you talking about? I love my country.
No, you all, when people disagree with you all, you accuse them of hating the country. But then when people hear you all talk, all you do is criticize the country all day.
No, I don't. I don't criticize the country. I criticize the policies of the people that are implementing policies that are destroying my country.
Let me read this to you from Investopedia. China's economy has grown to one of the largest and most powerful in the world over the past few decades. Driven by industrial production. Let me finish. Driven by industrial production and manufacturing exports.
Communism,
China's GDP
and murder.
GDP is. All right, I give up. I mean, if you guys want to talk about stuff you've been propaganda about,
China's on the rise. You're right.
Warren,
we agree with you. We agree with you. You're pounding the same talking points.
Okay, yeah. I like my philosophy.
You guys don't want to break out of your little, you guys don't want to break out of your.
What is it that you want us to recognize?
That
we're in the Matrix?
That you are lied to. That you have been lied to and you're lied to. And that the anger
I already know that.
Let me finish. The anger that many of y'all feel about the loss of jobs and employment, you all have been directed to take it out on people who have nothing to do with it. But the powerful people who have robbed you, and continue to rob you, you don't confront
Wait a minute. Who have you heard? Okay, who have you heard talk about what particular people were they talking about that were robbing them? Who did you hear, and what did they say?
Putting your political perspective, I put in the same category as the angry white worker. Okay, your political perspective you articulate is what
my political perspective is that of a libertarian.
What it does. The angry white worker has always been directed to vent their anger and frustration on the powerless elements around them. So let me draw. Let me just finish. This cartoon. Okay, here's a political cartoon. Okay, I want you to imagine some rich guys in their private club smoking cigars.
How is that answering the question of what you want from us? What do you want us to see?
That's another thing. That's another thing. Y'all not even patient to listen to explanations. You're not even patient.
Well,
you can't
I'm
even
not
listen
patient to listen to rambling. Remember when I grilled you the other night? It only took 15 minutes to get down to the nitty gritty. You, on the other hand, and not just you, but almost everybody in the world, when they have something that they want to talk about, they want to talk about it ad infinitum. I'm not one for that. I want to get down to what it is that a person believes, why do they believe
my work.
and why is it so important.
Like you do in math class, I'm showing my work. All right?
Yeah,
I'm showing you how I come to the answer.
Talk about a point that only takes 1 minute.
Well, everybody don't get to the same destination in the same route, okay? But you still get to the destination.
That. And that's why people get bored.
And get distracted.
You must have been the kid. You must have been the kid sleeping in the classroom in school then. If they had cell phones back in the day, you'd be the kid on the cell phone in class.
Why?
All right, Warren. What do you want Joe and me to see? What do you want us to see?
Well,
can you just be more direct and prompt?
That you all are lied to 24/7.
You said that already.
By whom?
Okay.
By whom?
And that part of the lie is to make you believe that this land is your land and you're supposed to be on top in your land.
Now I get it.
Yeah.
Now I get it.
And
let me see if I've got what your drift is, Warren. We've been lied to. We don't like the immigration. We don't like the brown people, black people, and every other kind of people because we think we're going to be replaced. And those of European ancestry want to remain on top and maintain white supremacy. Is that about it?
No, that's not. That's a distortion of what I'm trying to say. With the lie, where the lie comes in at is when it comes to addressing what's really ailing the nation. And what's ailing the nation is corporate greed. Is killing the nation. That is that you have a small
to do with the land.
You have a small group of elites that are raping and pillaging the land. And instead of you all recognizing that, you're blaming victims.
Well, who are these elites?
Oh, the multinational corporations, the banking, the pharmaceutical, the agribusiness.
I agree.
You have the defense contractors. You have your big tech. Big tech is part of it. The media.
Right. We talk about that all the time.
Those people are all interlocked. They sit on each other's boards. And
that is true. That is very true.
Really?
They send their children. They send their children to the same schools. They belong to the same socialization organization.
You know, Warren, we agree.
We know that.
As elite.
Okay.
Hold on. Wait a minute.
We agree.
But they control. But see, what you don't understand is they control both parties. They're not just in one party.
Kidding. We call it the Uniparty.
All right. Okay.
You call
now,
it the duopoly.
Here's the thing. Let me get to the big one. They need a core. They need a core of the population to protect and defend them from the anger of everybody, and that's where race comes in at. They don't. They want you all. They want you all to be soldiers to protect their interests. Now, let me give you an example. I gave an example of how these companies ship jobs overseas, basically because they want to pay cheap labor. They didn't want to pay the American worker. Now here
and you're going
to
come up with the. I know. You're going to come up with the saying that the white person, the pockets. You've already said it. You've said it. No, you've said it. You said it on other shows. You've said it.
Let me finish.
Get the poor white.
Let's say I'm a white guy from Pittsburgh. Let's say I'm a white guy from Pittsburgh who lost my job because the factory is going to close down and go overseas. All right. Now,
come on.
What?
Can you get to your point?
Okay.
You know, if you say the same thing or even anything similar to what you've been saying on other shows, I hope when I start up my show again, you come on so I can grill you like you should be grilled. That'd be even worse than last time. Because you won't take up a whole hour of saying the same thing over again. You won't even take up 5 minutes. Once you've said what you've said and people understand it, we don't have to go through the same thing all over again. You've made your point numerous times on different shows. Hello?
Yeah. And you can't talk to you guys. That's another thing. You're hard-headed. You can't get nothing.
Oh, will you stop? You've had a whole hour and overtime, and even before then to talk.
This is why this stuff gonna go on like it is in this country, because you all have been made to identify with the ruling class's interests.
No, okay, if you believe that. You're right.
Come on, Warren.
You're right.
You identify. You are brainwashed to identify with the elite interests.
We're brainwashed.
Absolutely.
Yep, I agree with you.
Absolutely. And your problems are all these other people, but not the guys on Wall Street in the big offices.
You win. I agree. Yes.
You got it.
Who's planning to take your farmland and so on and so forth.
That's right.
So you don't want to go fight those guys.
That's right. And my grandmothers and my and whoever else that I know. Uh-huh.
Well, they deserved it. So they deserved it too. So and I deserve it. So what do we do to fix it?
That's right. Everybody deserves it. Yeah. All right, Warren, you win. Absolutely, you're right.
Now, what do we do to fix it? You got a solution, Warren?
I tried. I tried. All I can say is I tried. I mean, you all have a choice. You all got a choice. Believe what you believe. If you've been believing, or look at new information that's been introduced to the brain.
You've tried. Okay, so what have you tried in order to fix it?
I've tried to offer you an alternative way of thinking about how you see things.
And if we agree with you already,
but the brain computer,
then you're objective.
The brain computer. The brain computer. Even when we agree, we're wrong.
You see, Warren, you still talk because that's really what you want to do. You just want to talk. You don't care if you change people's minds or if you don't change people's minds. You just want to talk. Isn't that right?
No, my job is to just put the information out there. Now, you want to eat the food, I'm fixing the food, and I'm putting the food on the plate and the table. Now, if you want to eat it, that's on you. I'm not going to force feed it to you.
I've eaten it. I like it, and I agree with you. Now what?
What do we do now? See, the way we cook in Louisiana, the food might be a little bit too rich.
Okay.
The food might be too rich in spices for you.
Right. It is spicy.
What's the solution,
like
Warren?
Spicy food I like. Chinese spicy food I like. I like Chinese spicy food.
Let me tell you something.
Oh, my Lord.
No, listen. Let me tell you something. China is freezing. China was a poor country like in African countries. Not too long ago.
Really?
China was a poor country where people were starving.
Yeah,
and now look where they are. That's a hell of an achievement.
Because capitalism was introduced into China, and they adapted capitalism along with the socialism, the communism, in order to achieve the economic gains of the past 60 years.
That's a good point, but let me explain that. China has Chinese socialism. Well, listen to this. China has billionaires, they have millionaires. But guess what? China's billionaires and millionaires don't form a class. The government remains in control. They don't become the ruling class in China. The billionaires and millionaires are not the ruling class. That's in the United States.
The communists who've taken over, that's because the communists who have taken over are dictators. Just like when the lockdown was in Shanghai. Shanghai, a city of 10 million people, or was it 20 million? And the communist government wouldn't let anybody leave their homes.
Chinese, look at what the communists have done.
You don't want to talk about that, huh? Never mind, Warren.
Why don't you go on YouTube and look at as many videos
as not offering any solutions, Warren. No solutions.
Why don't you guys look at the myriad of YouTube videos of those cities in China and tell me
why? You've already explained it to us.
See what you want to believe. This is what you want to believe. We can't believe the way we want to believe because we've been brainwashed. This is where you're wrong.
I'm a brainwashed fuck. What do I know?
This is what you want to believe. If it's communist or socialist, it's just bad. That's what I want to believe.
You know, you're the kind of guy that you can put it right in front of a TV set, have no program on, have the busy signal, and you would still talk to the TV.
Yeah. All right. Well, I tell you what. I've been talking to a TV right now. I've been talking to a TV set all just now.
Well, I hope so.
And I'm going to get off here and go to bed. But I tried. I've done my work.
Yeah, you absolutely did.
I've done my work.
And you
But when you guys, one day, one of you all gonna wake up in the middle of the night in a cold sweat and say, "I've been lied to," and Brother Warren tried to get me to see.
Even if we agree with him, he's still got to keep on talking.
Yeah,
so
we're still wrong.
Okay, Warren. Yeah, I know.
We got to wake up and be corrected.
Let me get off here.
We have to be corrected tomorrow. I'm going to wake up and be corrected tomorrow.
I'm going.
In a cold sweat. In a cold sweat.
I'm going, guys. I'm out of here. I'm going.
Oh, come on. Why are you leaving, Warren?
I know. Come on.
Why?
I'm tired of talking to the TV.
Oh, come on, Warren.
I'm tired of talking to the TV.
TV's no match for you.
I'm tired of talking to the TV.
Talk to the TV. Talk to the TV.
That would be interesting.
So to maintain a closed mind, to maintain this perspective in this day and time where young people are traveling all to these different countries. They seeing with their own eyes that the stuff you've seen is a lie.
Yeah, they sure do.
Yeah. They're seeing with their own eyes. They're going to China. Yeah, people. I haven't gone to China. I like to go to China. I mean, plan a trip to China, but
I wouldn't go
people,
if I were you, Warren.
They got people going to China and coming back and amazed.
I bet if you lived in China, you'd probably love it, Warren.
They got people. Yeah. They got Americans living in China. They got Americans living in China.
Yeah, and I bet you would love it there.
Yeah, they got Americans living. I've lived abroad. I've lived abroad before.
Yeah, right.
I've lived abroad
before. If you don't, I mean, they're not brainwashed over there. They're enlightened. If you went over there, you'd enjoy yourself.
Let me tell you something. All of your top students in science, engineering, and math are coming out of China, not the United States. That's what China's producing.
And
so much so that American
very true,
tech companies, American tech companies give visas, have given visas for Indian and Chinese students to work in American tech companies because the American students are not coming out like that.
Uh-huh. That's very good to know. Yeah, okay.
Because the American students are turning out like you guys. You see, you don't want no certain things.
No, I know. I mean, look, I'm an ignorant guy. What can I tell you? I'm happy.
This is what Hillary Clinton. This is what Hillary Clinton meant when she referred to you guys as deplorables.
Absolutely.
You see, that's what she meant. Now, I don't think she should have said that. But I kind of understand what she's talking about.
I know. It was horrible. But what can you do, Walter? You know what I mean?
So all right, let me get off here. I got to go, but I put my work in.
You sure did.
Yes, you did. It was a great effort. I've been enlightened like you wouldn't believe.
Okay, I'm out of here.
All right.
Take it easy, Warren.
Don't turn on any TVs tonight.
No TVs. All right.
Oh Lord, what do you do when you deal with Joe? I know you like quick solutions, but I don't think there's a quick solution to that one.
Well, he's probably got some. He actually has a good solution. As a matter of fact, if he were elected, it's pretty much in line with what you were talking about. He actually did. I pinned him down to it a few nights ago. The thing is, this is why I just go, you win.
Yeah.
You win.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way it's got to play out.
I'm not going to argue with somebody over something. I mean, even if they have a point of view which is diametrically opposed to mine, if they have good evidence, then I am definitely willing to listen. Otherwise, you win. Simple. You see how fast you left, right? You win. Wait a minute.
Unbelievable.
There's
no hope.
Like I say,
there's no hope. There's no hope.
Look, I bet he's actually against corruption, but he keeps on thinking it's the Republicans who are mainly responsible for it. Well, I can't really say that. He believes in the duopoly, but I do think it.
Oh, I lost you, Joe. You there? Joe. Oh, I guess that's it, guys. I guess that's it. I got that air. All right.